fourth preseason game, and it's going to be so fascinating tonight to watch some of those bubble battles decided and watch a half of Michael Vick. The Eagles organization, as we've talked about all during the preseason, so involved in the community. Christina Lurie, a big reason why. She joined Jamie Apodi.
Guys, joined by Christina Weiss-Lurie. Let's talk about back in July, flight night, and you guys raised over $1 million for Eagles Youth Partnership, and talk about the impact that's going to help this organization make in the community.
Well, what's truly amazing is that the fans really showed up, and without them we wouldn't have had the success we had. So a huge thank you to the Eagles fans who helped us raise that $1 million. You know, Flight Night gives us a huge opportunity to go into the community and to help kids in so many different ways, whether it's to provide vision care, whether it's to provide help on the literacy front, which is such a huge issue in the country today, whether it's to help schools transform their backyard into a playground that is a safe place for kids, after-school programs, you name it.
Let's talk about football for a second, because you and Jeffrey have had so much success as owners of the Eagles, but this year really the team has a new look. Talk about what you're expecting for the upcoming season.
Well, we're very excited about the upcoming season. We are a very young team, and with so much energy and enthusiasm that I hope it really translates into the upcoming season. The coaches and the players worked so hard during the preseason to bring us to the point to having a successful season that I'm very excited. And the other.
Thank you to Christina as J.J. Arrington with the kickoff, and this is the burst J.J. Arrington was talking about. He takes it out over the 43-yard line, a guy fighting for a spot.
Well, absolutely, and J.J. Arrington, whether he makes this team or not makes this team, every NFL team is looking at this tape, and they're going to analyze, can Arrington help us as a running back, as a return specialist? Great start, J.J. Arrington.
He is a guy who had done some things as a pro, comes over from the Denver Broncos, gets hurt almost immediately. Nice start to his night, fighting for a roster spot. Mike Vick at the controls as we start the first drive for the Eagles tonight. And there's Riley Cooper. You talk about a rookie who impresses.
Yeah, this is a guy that's going to factor in big when you talk about that red zone offense that the Eagles have right now. They've had a little bit of trouble in the preseason with this, but you're talking about a guy. He's a big body. He has control over his body. He controls it very well. He's going to be big for the Eagles.
Great job by Cooper there, taking the inside. Big range guy. How about Michael Vick? That's the way to start the game, Michael.
27 yards on the completion. 1st and 10, Philadelphia Eagles at the Jets 30. Vick out of the shotgun, going to keep it himself. Nice pickup, picks up 7. He was the leading rusher so far in the preseason. 100 yards on 12 carries for the Eagles.
When Michael Vick is in the game, you have the run-pass option on every play. And here he's going to run to his left, and this is type of an option play. He's going to read the end, hand it off, not hand it off, go on and run on the outside.
And not only that, Charlie, you're talking about plays Big Red has put in for Michael Vick that makes him feel comfortable to get this offensive drive going.
Pick up a 7, brings up a 2nd down and 3 for the Eagles. Vick scrambling to his left. 1st down, Philadelphia Eagles. That's exactly what he can do so effectively. All right, Michael Vick, your starter at quarterback. Here's the lineup that you're going to see tonight. Here's a lot of guys fighting for jobs, fighting to move up. Martell Mallett, star in the Canadian League. Will he make this club? Eldred Buckley probably has. We know Riley Cooper will be here. Kelly Washington in a battle with Hank Baskett. As we look at the offensive line, Austin Howard, an undrafted free agent. They are very, very high on him as a guy who's just come out of nowhere to contribute. Give this to Mallett, and there are some of those tough inside yards that they've gotten from a guy who's not that big, but he's tough.
Yeah, and this is what he brings to the table. He's a strong inside runner. But when you're talking about the position that he's in right now, you need somebody that's going to give you a little bit more. And right now, Mallett is the best runner between him and Eldred Buckley. But Eldred Buckley is a special teams player. So right now, early on, he has the nod. Eldred Buckley does.
Mallett was the MVP of the Canadian Football League. Says if he doesn't make it with the Eagles, he'll probably go back to the CFL. As we have said before, there are 2 number 29s on this team. Martell Mallett, the guy we've been talking about, and Nate Allen, a guy who is going to be one of 2 rookies starting when this team takes on the Green Bay Packers.
3rd down here. Relatively short yardage, only 2 to 3 yards to go. Very dangerous situation for the Jets defense. Why? Michael Vick. Michael Vick can run. He can throw. Back in that shotgun. This guy is very hard to defend.
2 tight ends in the short yardage situation. Clay Harbor, Nate Lowry. Michael Vick with the throw, looking into the end zone, incomplete. But there's that Michael Vick moment where he just tries to take it outside and choose run or pass, Charlie.
I'll tell you, he had, it looked like to me, Clay Harbor wide open. At least for a 1st down, possibly for a touchdown. We'll see here. There he is, number 82. You got to throw that ball quicker when you have that man open. When you come out on the bootleg, the ball's got to come out quick. You can't hesitate. That was a play Michael Vick should have made.
David Akers on to attempt a 29-yard field goal. He has been oh so accurate for the Eagles in the preseason, as he has been throughout his career. And he is accurate once again. So the Philadelphia Eagles do a nice job getting the field goal after the great return from J.J. Arrington, the former California Golden Bear. Got the Eagles in excellent field position. They converted it to 3 points. We'll be back at the link. 11 scoreboard, and don't forget to come out to the Eagles 7-Eleven pep rallies. Maybe that youngster will be there, but we know there'll be appearances by Eagles alumni, cheerleaders, and Swoop. We'll also be raffling off prizes. Visit PhiladelphiaEagles.com for times and locations. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. All right, Eagles up 3-0 after their first drive. Jets will get the possession of the ball after Joe McKnight takes the David Akers kick at his own 5. And as the Eagles defense take the field, one of the big concerns after last week again, they let the opposing team run kicks back 35 yards plus on average.
Well, a little better job there tonight, and that's a good sign. And some of the players in here right now are going to be involved in the special teams.
22 yards on the return. We're going to see a veteran NFL quarterback in Mark Brunell. That's right, Mark Brunell is the backup quarterback to Mark Sanchez. Joe McKnight with a short game after running back the kickoff. And let's check out that interesting Eagles defense for the night. A couple of guys fighting for spots on this team at the tackle position in Jeff Owens and Antonio Dixon. Hugh talked about Darryl Tapp trying to finally impress this team after coming over from Seattle. A rookie linebacker in Keenan Clayton. And then there are those guys, those rookies, Kurt Coleman and Javard Lindley, who've done so much to impress so far in the preseason. McKnight again. Good job of just bunching things up by the Eagles defensive front. And here are the guys that are out there for the New York Football Jets in preseason game number 4. I mentioned before, the quarterback is the veteran Mark Brunell. Santonio Holmes, a guy that you have heard a lot about over the years, he's going to see a lot of playing time because he'll be suspended the first 4 games of the regular season. And Slauson and Ducasse, a couple of guys battling to get a job on this football team and maybe get a start sooner or later. Jets keeping it on the ground despite the 3rd down and fairly long. And we had Jeff Owens in on the tackle there for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's what you wanted to see if you're Sean McDermott. 3 and out.
Jeff Owens, a good, strong inside guy. Well, the thing he's done well, I think, in camp and in the preseason game, he's a physical guy. He's tough to move off the line of scrimmage. He gives you a good anchor inside. And that's something you can build on as you're developing him as a prospect.
Whether it's his first team defense or his backups playing tonight, Sean McDermott very excited. Wants to see what those guys can do, and a 3 and out is a nice start. Decent start there for a guy who just came to the Eagles. Jordan Calvin picked up in the trade from Arizona for Charles Scott. What an absolutely gorgeous Philadelphia sky. Eagles up 3. Don't forget to register to win Miller Lite Flight Deck tickets. This is great stuff. See specially marked Miller Lite 24 and 30-pack cans at your local retailer. You can find out more details at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Miller Lite. Charlie, the Eagles starting at their own 18. We take a look at the starting quarterback, and tonight Michael Vick gets his chance. Chad Hall, one of the guys on the field right now, fighting for a roster spot. And here we go, the aforementioned on the end around. Just picks up a couple, not very big, pretty tough though. Vernon Golston with the tackle. Sorry, you.
Excuse me, but what you're seeing right now, Andy's trying to give him plays because he's still looking for a receiver. If he can do something that can impress the coaches, it's a good chance he can be on this team, so he has to try to make something happen.
We are going to talk about a Philadelphia Eagles team with plenty of battles at a lot of positions. We're going to detail that for you throughout the telecast. Call it a pickup of 4, 2nd and 6 for the Eagles operating in their own territory. Oh, you talk about sure hands right there. Michael Vick, and there's Clay Harbor. He missed him earlier, not that time, Charlie.
I'll tell you, Clay Harbor is one of the talks in the NFL among scouts, pro personnel people that I've seen in the press boxes, the games I've went to. 4th round draft choice, excellent receiving skills as a tight end. He's got quickness, he's got separation, meaning he can make a quick cut, get away from the linebacker, good hands, and he's improved in his blocking.
And he picked up 14 big yards for an Eagles first down out to the 36. Michael Vick, there's something that he and few other quarterbacks can do. He ran with his eyes upfield, saw Kelly Washington, just a great decision.
Well, the thing is with Michael Vick, when he begins to move, this causes problems for defenders. Do they come up and play the run, or do they stay back with the pass? Watch his eyes here. See, he kept looking downfield, and he finds Kelly Washington. And Michael Vick sometimes didn't do that before.
Yeah, and not only that, Michael Vick likes to naturally run. You're giving him plays now that lets him do what he can do.
First down into Jets territory at the Jets 49. Mallett, another inside run, picked up about 4 right there. And of course, we know who the Eagles' 3 quarterbacks are going to be. Kevin Cobb, your starter. Michael Vick's going to be your number 2, but they're very impressed with number 3, Mike Kafka.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin Cobb, I think, has just gotten better every year. I think he's done a lot of positive things in preseason. And when he gets a game plan that he can focus on the whole week, I think you're going to see even be better.
Pick up a 4 for Mallett, 2nd down on 6. Michael Vick in the shotgun. There's that elusiveness. And there's another good decision. If there's not something there, you know, in the Bengals game, he didn't have a good night. 2 picks, only 1 of 5. Good decision making, Hugh Douglas.
Yeah, and what you're looking at right now, Michael Vick has option. He's running the kind of offense that he's comfortable with. He drops back, it's not there. He gets to run the ball a little bit. He gets out of the pocket, looks down the field, and now he can try to make some plays. If it's not there, just pull the ball down and run it up the field.
There's the number 3 guy who also wears number 3, Mike Kafka. Marty Morningwig said might have been the most impressive rookie he's had in 15 years of coaching in terms of picking up the game as a rookie. 3rd down for the Eagles. Michael Vick back to pass. Wide open, and just one of those moments where it could have been the big play. We've seen Riley Cooper pulling so many, not that one though.
Here's the thing with Michael Vick. Accuracy. A nice patience in the pocket. Good protection. Riley Cooper wide open. Ball's behind. That's one of the issues Michael Vick had in his career, is he wasn't a pinpoint passer accuracy-wise.
And even if the completion is made, when a guy has to come back, you're always risking getting that big hit, and guys can get hurt. All right, the Eagles are going to punt for the first time tonight. Sav Rocca on to do the duties. Oh, that is just exactly the kind of special teams play that Kelly Washington has excelled with in his NFL career. That's one of the reasons they got him over here from the Baltimore Ravens. 45-yard punt, down beautifully as we watch again Kelly Washington. Special teams can get you on the squad. Eagles up 3-0. As we look at the Jets, and Sean McDermott's defense loves this kind of a situation. Given the great punt by Rocca, the great downing to the punt by Washington, backed up to the New York Jets 2. Long count from Brunell. Passing out of his own end zone and not doing so successfully. Intended for John Connor, the Terminator. Love to see that stuff, but I'm telling you, if you haven't caught Hard Knocks, and I don't want the real little ones to watch, but Hard Knocks is good television, good sports.
Yeah, and I had a chance to watch it the last week, and you know, Rex has a little bit of a potty mouth, but on the flip side of that, I would love to play for the guy because he really knows how to motivate those defensive players.
And there he is, Rex Ryan. His dad, of course, coached here with the Philadelphia Eagles, the legendary Buddy Ryan. 2nd and 10 for the Jets. Brunell going to pass again. Maybe. This time he gets the completion. It was complete out to Larry Taylor. And now let's take a look at one of our favorite subjects, one of our great sponsors. Focus, drive, dedication. The Eagles know what it takes. So does Sovereign. Better banking means better service, and teamed with Santander, one of the leading banks in the world, Sovereign delivers. Sovereign Bank, official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles, member FDIC. First down for the New York Jets with a little bit more breathing room. So many stories on this Eagles defense, watching so many guys battling to get the coach's attention. Brunell on the play fake. Rolling to his left as he usually does. Mulligan, Matt Mulligan on the catch. Trevard Lindley on the tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, a guy we've talked about an awful lot. This guy has stood out from almost day one.
Yeah, Trevard Lindley, what he is, he's a big corner. Long arms. Best as a press corner. We can get up a field, get up on top of people, redirect them, and he's got good speed. And I think he's improving. He may be a guy who's best suited outside as opposed to the nickel corner position, but a talented young man.
2nd and short for the New York Jets. This time they are going to keep the football on the ground. John Connor, not that tall at 5'11", but carries the weight at 245. You know, Charlie, going back to Trevard Lindley, 9 interceptions in 4 years at Kentucky, but 34 pass breakups. That's a stat I think that has meaning here.
Yeah, and that's what you want from a young guy. Like you said, in this league, the third corner is really, really huge. So if you can get him to play in that slot a little bit, that'd be great for you because now you have matchup problems with other football teams.
Lindley has moved himself up on the depth chart. A lot of other guys looking to find Sean McDermott's attention and really get some positive feedback from the coach.
Neutral zone infraction, defense, number 91. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Hugh, you talked about Darryl Tapp not doing much since he came from the Seahawks, and that's not the attention you want.
That's definitely not the attention you want. And what you're seeing right now is he knows that he's in a situation where he has to make a football play. A little anxious on this play. He wants to get to the quarterback. He wants to show the coaches that he belongs on this football team.
1st and 5 now for the New York Jets, operating just past their own 30. Keep it on the ground once again, and we see a little feistiness from Macho Harris. Daniel Teonasan with a nice move there. Macho Harris, here's a guy who started as a safety last year when they had the injury problems and the departure of Brian Dawkins. Now moved back to safety from cornerback, really fighting for a job.
Yeah, and what you're seeing right now, you're seeing a bunch of guys fight for a job. It's a little pushy out there because there's really not a whole lot. They're running the football right now. They're really not passing. Everybody's trying to show what they can do.
Brunell back to pass on 2nd and short. Airing it out a little bit too long for Santonio Holmes. As we mentioned, Santonio Holmes will play a lot tonight because after tonight, given his suspension by the league for a substance issue, he cannot play or practice the first 4 weeks.
Well, what they're doing here, this is a zone defense. Lindley has to get his hands on the receiver to slow it down. A good pass is a completion. They're testing Macho Harris's speed on that kind of a play. Better executed play, they had a completion. But Trevard Lindley, you got to jam the guy and slow him down so the safety can get over there and help deep.
3rd and 1 for the New York Jets. We'll keep it inside. It's going to be very close on the give to John Connor. And again, good penetration, good toughness by that Eagles front. And Kurt Coleman is a guy who has come up. Moses Foku also involved in the tackle there, but Kurt Coleman, he just hits people as a rookie.
I tell you what, 7th round draft choice. That almost gets forgotten. You know, coaches tell players, hey, it doesn't make any difference where you're drafted. When you come to camp, you're all treated the same. Now, I know those 7th round draft choices, they don't believe it, but as a general manager, you believe it. Because you want the best players on your football team. Kurt Coleman's 7th round pick is going to make the club.
And not only that, Charlie, he brings that thigh out. And then with that thigh out, he doesn't mind putting that hat on somebody.
Mark Brunell changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Short drop, and there's that guy again, Santonio Holmes. And he is a guy who has an awful lot of talent. This is an Eagles offense, the Jets offense, excuse me. They're looking because they like their defense so much just for some playmakers.
Well, I'll tell you what, Santonio Holmes is an outstanding football player. We all know that. If I'm the Eagles, this is great because when they line him up there, our rookie Trevor Lindley has to cover him. You know what? When they get to the games that count, that's what could happen. This is good experience tonight.
Jets with another first down, close to Eagles territory. Keeping it on the ground under Mark Brunell's control. Joe McKnight out of Southern Cal with another carry.
And not only that, Charlie, you're talking about Trevor Lindley is going against a Super Bowl champion, a guy who made some big plays in the Super Bowl. So you're getting a good, hard look at Trevor Lindley because he's going up against a #1 receiver. And if he can do well here, he has a great chance of making this football team.
Antonio Dixon and Jeff Owens, a couple of guys battling for playing time as backup tackles behind Patterson and Bunkley, who are so durable as the starters inside for Sean McDermott. Brunell gets time, gets the ball to Joe McKnight, breaks a couple of tackles, but a lot of other guys coming over to help out for the defense. And one of them getting up as he does after so many plays he's involved in, Kurt Coleman. There's the pressure on Mark Brunell. And that's one of those things that the Eagles have talked about. They really like about Daniel Taylor-Nessheim is his ability to use his speed and his spin move.
And the point is, can he help in the nickel defense? That's going to be huge for the Eagles.
So many defensive linemen play for Sean McDermott. 3rd and 5 for the New York Jets. Joe McKnight is going to get the first down and more. Flag on the play. It looks like Trevor Lindley got hooked on that play. It's going to come back. It looks like it was probably David Clowney, number 87, with the infraction.
Holding. Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty. 3rd down.
And here's the guy he was holding. That'll negate a 17-yard gain.
Now you're going to see it here on the bottom of the screen, and right there it's the hold. Now he would have had the first down, but and here's a good ISO here we got from our cameraman. You know, Lindley gets held right there. Otherwise he probably would have had to contain, turn it into number 42 Kurt Coleman. But they did have the first down. It's a dumb penalty there by the Jets.
Mark Brunell once again at the controls in the shotgun. 3rd down and 4 for the New York Jets. Demps now in on defense for the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's a first down throw to David Clowney as the Philadelphia Eagles give up a 10-yard reception right there. Basilio Hansen on the coverage, and once again, even in the regular season, you're going to see so many of those big bodies interchanging on the D-line.
Yeah, and what you're seeing with the D-line right now, they're pressing a little bit. But hey, listen, if you're not getting there rushing the passer, you can always run to the play.
Fumble, ball on the field, and the ball going the other way. Kurt Coleman is going to score a touchdown for the Philadelphia Eagles. We've been talking about what a hard hitter is. He also has some nice speed.
The thing you talked about, Kurt Coleman, 7th round draft choice. Now, heads up play, catches the ball on the bounce, doesn't fall on it, runs for a touchdown. But my experience is this. Guys make plays. That's how they make the team. 7th rounders, they show up and make plays, and then you end up rewarded by being on the team.
Yeah, and especially in a game like this where there's not going to be a lot of passes that you're going to have to defend, but you have to have your head up because anything can happen, and you have to pursue to the football. Great heads up play by Kurt Coleman. Now he's rewarded for it with a touchdown.
Very nicely done.
He probably thinks he has the night off now.
Well, he's pretty sure that he's probably made the team with that play.
David Akers has definitely made the team year in and year out. Andy Reid sees Kurt Coleman extend the Eagles' lead. Just a great job of picking that ball up and knowing what to do with it. We have ended the first quarter. Eagles up on the Jets, 10-0. Recovery, what happened?
Watch the surge by the Eagle defensive line. They're knocking the offensive linemen for the Jets into the backfield. So really, Joe McKnight runs into his own offensive lineman. However, it was the Eagle defensive line that knocked him back.
Boy, you have to be impressed with Kurt Coleman. As you pointed out, Charlie, you have to be impressed with that surge. I mean, anytime you can have an offensive lineman, in essence, causing the turnover for you, that is showing you something in the trenches. All right, Larry Taylor back for the Jets, takes it into zone 3. And once again, and boy, Bobby April's going to be pleased, much better special teams coverage among the guys down there for the Philadelphia Eagles. West Deptford, New Jersey's Penn State's Anthony Scarrato. Show your Eagles pride and ask for the limited edition Eagles Miller Lite aluminum pint at your local bar or tavern. Triple hops brewed Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. Find more details at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Miller Lite. Anthony Scarrato with a lot of family and friends from South Jersey. He played here against Temple, but playing as a pro is something special for him. All right, the New York Jets taking over right now at their own 24-yard line. Mark Brunell still at the controls. Washington with a lot of running room, breaks into the secondary. The ball is on the ground once again. Are they going to say he was down as Macho Harris comes up with the football after Moses Fuku with another big play there? Let's take a look at the replay. Is it a fumble, guys?
No,
I'd say he's down there from that angle. However, interesting point here. We talked about the umpire and the problems that causes when he is in the backfield. This is one of the other ones. Normally the umpire would follow and be close to the ball to spot it. Downfield fumbles are going to be a little bit harder to read. There was no official around that ball to make a call. They were very silent when I watched them.
The umpire moved for safety reasons after so many collisions in recent seasons. End around by the New York Jets as they're showing a lot of different things in this offensive set. David Clowney with the run.
I think what the Jets saw is if Andy Reid can run the end around, then all bets are off. We're going to run the end around in this game.
And not only that, you look at you see the defensive end and he peeks inside. You can't do that. You're always supposed to check backside. If they block down, he was always taught as a defensive end, if everybody blocks down, it's a good chance that something's coming back your way. So you always got to check backside. On this play, Darryl Tapp didn't do that, and they were able to pick up positive yards.
Macho Harris with a nice hit after the long gainer. Danny Woodhead, a guy that Jets fans really, really love. Another one of those little guys who really plays bigger than his size with a short gain right there. Another good job by that Eagles interior defense.
Mark Brunell was calling an audible at the line when he saw the Eagle defense obviously checked into a run or it was a running play. And since it was a long count, we have to assume that he checked it. Eagle defense, good job, though.
Two of the guys helping out, Antonio Dixon and Darryl Tapp, who we've been talking about a lot, as Sean McDermott really wants to see something out of a guy who had some good stats, some good moments as a Seattle Seahawk. Brunell back to pass. Not much there, and unlike Michael Vick, Mark Brunell has never been a guy really known for his legs, but once again, even though it's just the incompletion, good coverage and good pressure, Daniel Teonesan.
Well, you've got good coverage downfield here, and Teonesan did a nice job there. Stay in the play. If you block, just stay in it. You can get a lot of sacks that way.
Nessheim, the part of his name that is Norwegian, fellas. I just wanted to share that ethnic moment with you, as Daniel has been playing very, very well.
You get educated watching this broadcast.
Yes, you can. All right, Mark Brunell trying to get them at least in field goal range, and he's not going to do so. So the New York Jets are most likely going to punt the football.
Jorick Calvin, number 38, was defending on the play. Just picked up from the Arizona Cardinals. Guy's got athletic ability, missed his senior year. Now he's going to go back and return here. Missed his senior year, but he's an athlete. He can run. The Eagles are playing him outside, and the nickel defense is where he played with Arizona on the inside. So this is a big night for him. Can he make the club?
Obtained from Arizona for Charles Scott, the fullback. Andy Reid says the guy may make the team based on his returns. Here he's calling for the well-advised fair catch, and the Eagles are going to take over at their own 11-yard line with a 10-0 lead. 31-yard punt, no return. Eagles up 10.
For the first 3 games, I've been real impressed with him. Talking to the coaches, they talked about his intelligence. Will that translate as a football player is his decision making. I think he's done a good job of throwing to the right guy, throwing it away. I think he can move in the pocket and make plays that way. Excellent 2-minute drive last week to win the game with a lot of good decisions and some big throws downfield at the end.
Very coachable. Interesting, during pregame, he was even practicing with former Eagles Doug Peterson as a guy who was trying to show him how to hold if he ever had a hold for David Akers. All right, they're going to keep the football on the ground for Mike Kafka. Martell Mallett with the carry. And Mike Kafka getting into this game, guys, earlier than we thought. Andy Reid told us he might play Michael Vick a whole half, but he's going to get almost 3 full quarters for Kafka.
Yeah, because I think that what Andy Reid saw in Michael Vick, he saw just enough to know that Michael Vick still has some ability. So he doesn't want to really play him that much. He needs to have a good long look at Mike Kafka, because Mike Kafka is the future of the Philadelphia Eagles. Not anytime soon, but he's going to be a part of this team.
Yeah, Mike Vick, no guarantee to be here in 2011, so he could move up to the number 2 spot. Kafka back to pass. A little bit too high there, and it was well covered, going for Chad Hall. Another one of those guys whose story we continue to tell you, but a guy who was in the Air Force Academy, played football, worked in the Air Force, a guy you root for.
Well, you do it. And you know, what's going to happen here is the Eagles, after this game, over this weekend, they're going to sign 8 players to a practice squad. And some of those practice squad players, they're going to be on this roster when we come to the end of the season. So even though they get cut now, their career isn't necessarily over, and their season isn't necessarily over.
3rd and long for Mike Kafka. And he threw the pick. That's not what he wanted to do. That's not what Andy Reid wanted to see. Emmanuel Cook with the interception.
Well, the Eagles, what happened there was a blitz. Quick pass rush. You want to get rid of the ball quick. Little miscommunication, which you're going to have when you're not practicing together as a group. So you practice this time of year. You're rotating receivers. You're rotating quarterbacks. A play, which is a timing play, sometimes you're going to have a little trouble executing those.
You love the fact that Andy Reid, as you would expect, immediately talking to Kafka. I'm sure asking him what was he looking for, what was he doing there.
Yeah, and you want to come to the sideline, because a young player like that, he's a little frustrated, but you have to try to figure out what he threw, what was going on in his head, and just try to correct it the next time he's out there.
Now going through the similar kind of explanation there for offensive coordinator Marty Morningwig. All right, the New York Jets with the turnover in the red zone at the Eagles 15. So we'll see what some of Andy Reid's younger defensive players can do against the Jets coming up next. We are back. Philadelphia Eagles up 10-0 on the New York Jets, but the Jets in business, operating at the 15-yard line of the Eagles. Kurt Coleman, of course, had the great play for Sean McDermott, picking up the fumble as the interior of the defensive line had put so much pressure on the offensive lineman of the Jets. McKnight fumbled. Coleman, the beneficiary, as he went coast to coast. Mark Brunell under a lot of pressure. And we have a penalty flag on the play.
Holding. Offense. Number 62. 10-yard penalty. First down.
And once again, a guy we've mentioned a lot, Daniel Nessheim, with good pressure. He is a guy that is going to play at least in the nickel, but he may see more playing time here.
Yeah, and this is what you want to see from a young guy like Taylor Nassan. You want to see him get out there, and you need to see him get after the quarterback. You see him fighting here. He's fighting, he's still fighting. He got 2 guys on him, and he's still coming. That's what you want. That's what you want from a young guy like Taylor Nassan. You know, he's out there getting double teams, still bringing it.
Absolutely. Jets are going to keep the ball on the ground with Chauncey Washington there with a big pickup for the guys. Charlie Cashman, you have to be impressed with a guy as young as he is, Taylor Nassan, but fighting off that double and just not, as you said, quitting on a play.
Well, the book on Taylor Nassan in college was high motor guy. Great effort guy. We talked about Brandon Graham that way. Obviously, Graham more talent. That's why he's in the first round. But this is a guy that will get sacks in this league because of second effort. And talking to him in camp, I said, what do you got to work on? He said, I got to work on my hands. I got to work on my moves. I got to have more moves than I already had coming out of college.
Played his college ball at the University of Washington in the Pac-10. Short pass there from Mark Brunell. Quick pickup by Jeff Cumberland there, but only for a couple. And talking about guys playing at defensive end, let's look at the situation. Brandon Graham, what an impressive rookie. You got a couple of veteran guys who could be backups, although obviously Jukwe will tap. Kind of a little questionable right now, but there are a couple of battles.
Yeah, there is. And when you look at that board right there, Taylor Nassan is making a strong case to make this football team, because even though you're not getting a whole lot of pass rushes, you're still pursuing to the football and trying to make some things happen.
PUP we showed for Victor Abiamiri, that's physically unable to perform. He's had a lot of injuries during his Eagles career. Penalty flag on the play. If the play does stand, it'll be a completion to David Clowney, but we'll see what the laundry was all about on the football field. Jared Calvin, that guy just over from the Cardinals, on the coverage. Andy thinks it's against the Jets. Let's find out.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 86 was not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Rex Ryan with kind of a forced smile right there as the Jets are moved back here. He, of course, has gotten so much notoriety in just his 1 year as the Jets head coach, and he's going to have even more now that he's one of the stars in that great football series done by those wonderful people at NFL Films, Hard Knocks. All right, 3rd down coming up in the red zone for the New York Jets. Crowd getting into it here at the Link, those great Eagles fans. And Mark Brunell under a whole lot of pressure gets the ball out to the versatile Danny Woodhead, but Mark Brunell almost got crushed by a number of guys coming up. But look at this outside pressure, in particular Moses Foku.
Yeah, great speed rush up there. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and this is what you want. You got to go out here right now. Moses Foku is one of those guys. He's some of a bubble guy. Started out as a linebacker. Now he moved to defensive end. When you make plays like that, opens the coach's eyes, and he might say, hey, this guy might be able to help my team out.
1st and goal for the Jets. Foku was a walk-on at Maryland, a hard worker. Chauncey Washington keeping those legs churning. And Foku, as you mentioned, he was at linebacker last year. The Eagles had so many changes at linebacker when Stuart Bradley went down.
Well, I tell you what, watching him, they've used him in the nickel pass rush late in the game, and we saw a good rush there, and he's had some good rushes. Do you think he could be an alternate there in case somebody got hurt in the nickel rush at defensive end?
I think so, because as you know, Charlie, it's hard to find good pass rushers out there. And if you got a guy that could give you something off of that corner, I mean, you have to figure out a way to get him on the football field.
Timeout, Philadelphia. This is their first charge timeout.
All right, Sean McDermott wants to do some things defensively. Eagles take a timeout up 10.
Formation, hand off to McKnight, hit, fumble the football, picked up by the Eagles, running with the football across the 35-30, Kurt Coleman down to the 10-5, touchdown, Kurt Coleman with the fumble recovery and return.
Great call by one of the great gentlemen of sports broadcasting, our friend Merrill Reese. All right, Kurt Coleman on the football field now as the Eagles trying to keep the Jets out of the end zone. Brunell going to roll out. And he does a very, very nice job as he finds tight end Jeff Cumberland for the touchdown.
Well, that's a dangerous play down here because you've got everybody stacked inside. You're playing the run. And what happens in that situation, you get a receiver out there on a safety, Macho Harris, who I know has played corner, but Harris went inside there. He needs to stay outside in that play, stay outside with his leverage. He's fighting for a job here, hitting Quentin Demps. They both could make the team if 10 defensive backs stay. If 9 stay, one of them may not be here.
Nick Folk cutting the advantage of the Philadelphia Eagles down to 1 point. And Sean McDermott watching what happened there with Macho Harris. Mike Kafka will be back on the field when we return to the link.
U.S. News and World Report has placed.
You look at some of the big bodies along the sideline.
Yeah, and this is a tough spot for Macho Harris because as you see, the back and the tight end is over there. So he had to make a decision. But first of all, he should have been outside in on this. And what I mean by that, he should have kept outside leverage so that those guys couldn't get outside of him. But he's in a tough spot because you have the back and you have the tight end over there. And he's the only guy in coverage. So he made, a little bit of a miscue on who he had to pick up. But that's a tough spot for a young man to be in.
Macho Harris saying he wants to showcase his talent tonight, either to keep a job with the Eagles or show it to another team in the National Football League. J.J. Arrington takes it a couple of yards deep and brings it out. Well, that's the nice burst that J.J. Arrington said he wanted to show tonight. Guy trying to make this team because of his special teams, but in a numbers game at running back. Eagles up 3. Off the field, they do so much good work for charitable. Great stuff, ladies. Check out the Bud Light Eagles Nest, new for the 2010 season at Lincoln Financial Field. Check PhiladelphiaEagles.com for ways you can win tickets. Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Mike Kafka going to try to respond to some adversity.
Well, here's the thing that you want to see from a player. You had a play there that went against you, gave up 7 points. Now, what's your poise? I think Mike Kafka's going to do a good job.
Going to keep it on the ground on first down. Martell Mallet has been so dependable. A guy from the Canadian League, as we've mentioned, trying to win a spot somehow, some way.
Well, again, every team in the league is looking at this. If Martell Mallet doesn't make it here, he might have options on a practice squad someplace. Could have options right here in Philadelphia with a practice squad. But this is good experience he's going to get now, and this is his look. Also, Eldra Buckley at fullback. They're going to need that as a backup fullback. But Leonard Weaver, the only fullback on the roster.
Kafka on the short drop, going outside there, looking for a guy that he'd gotten the ball to a couple of times earlier in the preseason, Dobson Collins. And of course, you know that Shady McCoy will start. Mike Bell, they finally got to see him do some good things last week, but then you got Arrington, Buckley, Mallet, as you pointed out, Charlie. Buckley helped by being able to play both great special teams and some fullback.
I would think that would give him the edge there. 2 positions, special teams like you pointed out. By the way, Andy Reid in our conference call this week really liked Mike Bell last week, liked his toughness as a runner.
He was a mainstay last season for the Super Bowl champion Saints. Kafka flushed, going deep, way downfield, trying to get that ball as he was under pressure from Lance Laurie, trying to get that ball way downfield, but it's going to be a 3 and out, and Mike Kafka again right over with Andy Reid.
Well, you got a blitz forcing him out of the pocket here, and again, don't throw an interception. Coaches will tell quarterbacks if you don't have anything, a punt isn't the worst play in football. Hard to make that throw when you're running though against pressure.
He was looking for Penn State's Jordan Norwood, but now Sav Rocca back on for the punt. Drives McKnight back to his 15. And there's something so interesting. You talked about what he can do on special teams, but Eldra Buckley, as the flag's down on the play, really forced the issue there, contained him enough for the tackle to be made.
Like you pointed out, we've got a penalty here. We'll see what we've got. Preliminary indication is against the Jets.
Ineligible. Downfield early on the kick, number 34.
Just what I said.
5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. First down.
Bobby April Not too excited. Watch this battle. Do you think some guys are trying to make a roster? That is some great stuff along the Jets sidelines. We'll be back at Lincoln Financial Field for more football. And I'm telling you.
The 5-yard penalty will be enforced. 4th down.
That Eagle was young Dobson Collins out of Gardner-Webb, and he was going to stay with that play as we get ready for the re-kick.
Well, Tolly, just as I told you, the preliminary indication was against who?
But it was wrong.
That's right. I was dead wrong there. So,
It's okay.
All right, so the officials and I are even in this game now. I was on them last week, so they can get on me this week now.
That's why it was preliminary. But again, Eldra Buckley, as John Dornbos eventually made the tackle, I thought he did a great job, even though the flag was thrown. He did a great job of containing long enough to get help.
And yeah, and that's what he brings to the table. He gets the early nod when you talk about the extra running back.
Talk about a great job Howie Roseman and his staff finding guys, as you saw there, claimed off waivers, so many free agents on this Eagles squad. Oh, well, you know what? You just like to see so many of these great plays. That's a guy we've been talking about, Keenan Clayton, in a battle with Tracy White. Watch this with Tracy White, maybe Foku, almost with Cheney. But look at the battles continuing with Dobson Collins. Special teams play very physical on a September night. Sidelines. And obviously the issue is body fat and six-pack abs. Stuart Bradley.
Listen, I remember those days because as a football player, when you're wearing your outfit, you got to look good. You're wearing that tight uniform, you're wearing those tight pants. You want to make sure that your body looks right when you're wearing that uniform.
All right, more Stuart Bradley updates as he sits this one out. Brunell on the scramble left. Just throws it away. I'm telling you, that was so interesting. All right, let's join our colleague Jamie Apodi down on the sidelines. What you got, Jamie?
I was just afraid that play was coming at me, but Brandon just said, don't worry, I got you. Brandon Graham, not doing anything today, but it must be fun to watch from the sidelines. You like your buddy Coleman there?
Yeah, I like him a lot. Hey, I see that boy took that scoop and score. I guess we're going to party hard tonight.
That's like a fellow, spoken like a fellow rookie. How was this very first NFL training camp for you, and how ready are you for the opener?
Well, it was a tough training camp, and, you know, everything was pretty fast, but, you know, it slowed down for me. Just had to learn the package first, and now, you know, I'm starting, and I'm just trying to make sure I can keep the job.
Is that, I mean, it's got to be exciting. It's got to be a little nerve-wracking to know you're going to start your first NFL game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I'm nervous. I'm always nervous every game, and, you know, I just try to make sure I know the game plan, and I make sure I execute the game plan to the best of my ability and make plays.
You've talked to your fellow rookies, some of whom are out here trying to win a job tonight. What do you think they're feeling out there?
What'd you say?
What do you think your fellow rookies are feeling out there trying to win a job tonight?
Hey, I know they fighting for their family, and I know how much it means to them to be a part of a team and make a team. You know, that's a big accomplishment for a lot of people. Just to say, yeah, I made a team. Did you? You know, and I understand. Like, it's a tough road out here, but, you know, I think the Eagles going to make the right choices about what they see tonight.
Brandon, thanks so much. Guys, back to you.
Boy, Sean McDermott is really going to like some of the choices his guys made defensing that screen right there to Joe McKnight. We have seen so much out of Brandon Graham and Nate Allen, Riley Cooper on the offensive side of things, but a guy that, again, we just started to talk about a little bit more, Keenan Clayton, fighting for a linebacker spot on this team, but has really had his moments.
Well, he played a lot of safety in college, and what that tells you, the guy's got coverability. And I think he's a guy at some point in the future here, I think his first contribution could be as a nickel linebacker. That would seem to be the logical point at some point.
And right now, as we know that Omar Gaither is definitely going to be on this team as a backup, as we have real solidity in the linebacker core. Macho Harris, again, we've been talking about his battle for a roster spot, and he is not only hitting people, he's keeping with them.
Yeah, but this is what you want to see from the young guys because, like I said, there's not a whole lot going on as far as the ball being thrown in the air, the ball being thrown quick. But you got to see guys, you want to see guys that are not going to quit. You want to see them play physical, especially when you're talking about filling up your special teams. You got to get guys out there that aren't afraid to hit anybody.
Coleman and Lindley, 2 of 13 rookies drafted by the Eagles, the most they took in the draft in over 20 years. Mike Kafka back at the controls. Eagles up 3, under 6 to go in the first half. And I tell you talk about his special teams work, but Elder Buckley can also run the football.
Well, what Buckley is as a runner is what I call a north-south, a straight-ahead guy, kind of a slasher. One cut, attack the line of scrimmage, kind of a physical type runner, physical inside runner. Good run there.
Nicely done by Elder Buckley, as you're getting to see guys tonight who could really, really emerge as more and more important players once the 2010 season unfolds. Second and short for the Philadelphia Eagles. Buckley again. This time they'll move the chains.
And what you're seeing from Elder Buckley now is we know that Mike Bell, we know LaShawn McCoy and Leonard Weaver are going to get most of the carries. But when you have a guy like that, the north-side runner, the one cut and go, he's a change of pace guy. And as a former defensive player, I got to tell you, when you have a guy out there, when you're so used to defending one running back all day long, and then you put a guy like that out there who has a different style of running, it changes the game. It changes the game tremendously, and it's hard to defend, especially late in the game.
Big Austin Howard, a guy Andy loves, a free agent, as we look at Mike Bell there with a nice block on the run by Buckley. Kafka on the play action, looking for the flag right there as he was getting the ball out to Dobson Collins. We saw his physical play on special teams. There he was, the intended receiver, Drew Coleman, on the defense.
Yeah, good touch by Mike Kafka here. Got the ball up top, put it in the only position that the should I get on the officials again here?
Well, you know,
come on,
y'all know that.
How do you not call that?
If it was a regular game, we definitely know that they would have had to call that because, I mean, he was draped all over the young man.
I'll tell you what the preliminary indication on that one was. They missed the call, pass interference.
Charlie, I knew I'd get that in the
first
you
got
half.
Me going now.
Got you going big time. Martell Mallet as the big scrum ensues right there. But Mike Kafka, he had the interception, then he had the 3 and out, but now responding with a nice little start to this drive.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a great throw. It was right over the top, put it right where you want it. Obviously, I disagree with the call, but the call was accurate. When you're grading that play, to me, that's a positive for Mike Kafka.
Again, if you're wondering why a third-string quarterback is such an important issue, Michael Vick, the second stringer, in the last year of a 2-year deal. Most people think it's unlikely he'll be here next year, so Kafka could be a guy getting moved up to the number 2 spot. Looking for their first third down conversion in the night. They will not get it, and they'll have to give the ball back to the New York Jets. Pass intended there for Jordan Norwood, the Penn State.
And what you want to do, the reason we talked about, why does Michael Vick come out so well? Michael Vick's going to play. We've seen that in preseason. He's going to come in certain packages and I think be a very disruptive player to the rhythm of teams who are defending the Philadelphia Eagles. So Mike Kafka, you've got to give him this time because he won't play the rest of the season.
Michael Vick saying he was surprised another team didn't look at him to pick him up as a potential starter. Were you surprised?
Not necessarily at that point, because again, I know the Eagles took a chance now on Michael Vick, and give the Eagles credit for that. A lot of people wouldn't even talk to Michael Vick about coming with him because of what happened to him and the reason he was in jail. But give the Eagles credit; they stepped out, and I think it's been a positive for him and for Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Marty Morningwig, the coordinator, working with Vick, Kafka, and of course the starter Kevin Cobb as we wait to get the explanation on the flag here. Eagles with a 10-7 lead. 3 minutes, 38 seconds to go, and we're going to obviously see the option here apparently to the New York Jets. Sav Rocket did a nice job getting that punt off under pressure. Went into the end zone for the touchback, but we'll wait on the penalty, and Rex Ryan wants the re-kick.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 17 offense, not returning inbounds, running down the sidelines. 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the kick. First down.
So it will not be a re-kick, but it'll be 15 big yards. Take a look at it, Kelly Washington.
Great effort by Washington there.
Now, a lot of people understand that as a receiver, you can't go out of bounds, but they don't understand that there are rules when you're on special teams. They're about going out of bounds, coming back in bounds.
Yeah, when I say it was a great effort, he had to beat 2 people, and he beat 2 people. They didn't like the idea that he didn't get in bounds. And again, I don't want to show my prejudice, ladies and gentlemen, but it was on the Jets sideline that the flag came out. You don't think Rex Ryan got on Hard Knocks for that? That'll be on Hard Knocks next week.
Absolutely. 15 yards tacked on, bring the ball out after the touchback to the 35-yard line. Mark Brunell, and I'm telling you, there's some good defensive push by a number of Eagles. And one of those guys, again, that we just keep talking about, Jeff Owens. Coming up at the half, your local PA Wine and Spirit stores present Sights and Sounds, where we, the entire Philadelphia organization, make that Eagles organization, will be seen pitching in to give one Philadelphia school the playground of their dreams. Plus, we'll have our halftime stats and analysis presented by Sovereign Bank. Not easy for me to say, but I'll get the next one better. 2nd and 10 for the New York Jets. 3 minutes to go in the half. Wide open. Mark Brunell. Gotta love having a guy like Matt Mulligan that wide open. And Mark Brunell, I'm telling you, we talked about a guy who's been in the league a long time, flagging the play.
10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's going to bring it back as the penalty was on the New York Jets' Wayne Hunter. But you look at the career stats there, Mark Brunell over 31, almost 32,000 yards as a player in 17 seasons.
There was at one point that this guy was one of the upper echelon, not top quarterbacks in the league, but at Jacksonville, he had some great years there. He was a very mobile quarterback early in his career, and Jacksonville had a lot of success going to the playoffs with Mark Brunell as a quarterback.
Took him to the championship game in his 2nd year as a player. Pernell Egbo out of Stanford into the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles. As the Jets will keep it on the ground, as once again they have given the ball. Jamar Chaney with the tackle there, inside running by the New York Jets.
Yeah, you talk about Mark Brunell. I have fond memories of Mark Brunell myself. It was my 1st year in New York, and we played the Jacksonville Jaguars the 2nd game of the season. And I had the privilege of sacking Mark Brunell 3 times. That was the first 3 sacks that I ever gotten in the NFL. So, you know, I'm very fond of the guy because he really got my NFL start off to a pretty good start.
We'll be back right after this as the New York Jets and Mark Brunell continue to take the ball down the field against the Eagles. Cheese pizza for just $9.99 with each Eagles touchdown. Get a free topping, double the free toppings with an Eagles victory. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. Hugh, I'm going pepperoni. What would your choice be?
You know what? I've been eating cheese pizza lately because I'm trying to keep this body fat down. You know, even though I don't play anymore, I got to keep this thing tight.
Well, here we go with the double-fisted order right there. Charlie, what's your topping of choice?
Hey, I'll go meat lovers. I like meat.
Wow.
I'm going everything.
We need a lot of Eagles touchdowns to get the meat lovers in there. All right. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Mark Brunell and the Jets operating still in their own territory. Going deep, and he has a guy deep downfield. Incomplete on that play, going for Santonio Holmes, and kind of a learning experience there for David Pender on the coverage. What happened on the play?
Just ran right by him. David Pender did what I call squat. He is anticipating the route. Don't anticipate the route. You got to keep gaining ground.
And when you got a guy out there like that, you can't squat. He's a burner. You can't let him get behind you.
Brings up a punting situation for the New York Jets. And a nice little return there by Jarrett Calvin, the guy coming over from the Arizona Cardinals, and they had to wait till Charles Scott passed his physical with Arizona, Andy told us, and now this is a young man who is trying to make sure that we are in a position where maybe we can call his name out in the regular season. Philadelphia Eagles and Mike Kafka will be taking off on this Eagles flight for their 45-yard line. First down and 10 at the 45-yard line. Mike Kafka, the rookie out of Northwestern. Back to pass. Throws underneath, and good defensive coverage by the New York Jets. But he did get the pass completed out there to Kelly Washington, the veteran, over from the Baltimore Ravens. As the Eagles are in the hurry-up offense here, he, of course, is in a battle with Hank Baskett for a roster spot at the wide receiver position. Kafka setting things up at the line of scrimmage in the shotgun. Back to pass. Under heavy pressure. Just has to get rid of the football, and we're going to see a flag over on the far side where he was just trying to protect himself by getting the ball out before he got crushed. We'll see what the flag is all about. And here's another look at it. And, of course, the New York Jets.
Defense, number 40. 5-yard penalty. First down.
No surprise that Rex Ryan, even though this is the 4th preseason game, still bringing a lot of guys.
Right, and what Mike Kafka saw the pressure coming, got the ball out quick, gets it up here where he's got one-on-one coverage, and the Eagles end up with the penalty here, but he threw to the right place. Again, that's what does he throw to the right place? And he did then.
Marty Morningwood talking about how much he loves his field awareness, and we saw it again right there. A little too tall on the toss to Kelly Washington right there, but we are upstairs at Lincoln Financial Field. Don Tollison, Charlie Casserly, and Hugh Douglas, and we talked about all these bubble battles, guys trying to do anything they can to avoid getting cut.
Yeah, and the tough part about this game is there's not a whole lot of offense to be played. They're keeping the ball on the ground. They're throwing quick throws. So for a defensive lineman, it's really tough to get at the quarterback and show the coaches that you can get after the passer.
Charlie, will they start looking at this stuff right away as soon as they can to start making those bubble decisions?
Well, I don't think they'll do it at 11 o'clock tonight, but they'll be in tomorrow.
Yes.
And they kind of know where they're going with most of the decisions. So there will only be a couple of things that you actually have to talk about. But they will be meeting tomorrow and starting to inform the young men rather quickly who won't be here. But if they're going to be practice squad players, they're not going to want them to leave.
Mike Kafka again showing great awareness there. You know, he felt the pressure coming behind. But what we're talking about, if you're just joining us here on the Eagles Television Network, 22 players have to be cut by 6 p.m. Saturday. That's emotional stuff, Hugh, if you're in this league.
Yeah, well, if you're a young guy, it is. But the good thing about it is you'll have an opportunity to play for somebody else. If you're an older guy such as myself, you basically know that your career is over, because I remember that day. I knew it was coming, and you just wait around the home for it to happen, and you just move on.
Now, you talked about a guy by the name of Trent Cole, and you knew as we watched Kafka putting the ball up in the air again for Kelly Washington. Hugh, you said that when Trent Cole was a guy that you knew was going to have the kind of a future, which, hey, you're talking about a guy who has been a sacks leader for this team, a Pro Bowler. And you can get old quickly in this game, can't you?
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I can remember we were doing the fitness test, and Trent Cole didn't make the fitness test. He didn't make it. He was struggling a little bit. So I felt that I had a chance. But as we went through that training camp, he became a lot stronger. He picked up the system fairly well, fairly quickly. And I could see his ability. And I kind of knew at that point that Trent Cole was going to be my replacement. So what I tried to do as a veteran guy, you try to leave a little bit of yourself on the field. So you try to teach him as much as you can, and you know, you just move on.
What a punt. What a great play by Kelly Washington, trying to get his spot with special teams. And take another look at this right here. And this is the kind of hustle and ball awareness Bobby April's got to love.
It's a great punt. You put the ball right where you gave the Kelly Washington a position to make a play on the ball. The ball goes out of bounds. So great punt by Savraka. Good position by Kelly Washington.
And not only that, you've seen Kelly Washington get harassed all day. You see the gunners, double coverage. He's fighting through that double coverage. He's making a strong case, guys. He wants to be here.
New York Jets operating out of their own end zone in the last minute of the first half. Keep it on the ground, and the fumble is it's football on the ground. Look who's got it. Oh, yeah. Kurt Coleman one more time.
You know what you call that guy right there, Charlie? That's a football player.
That's right.
Because he's always around the football.
He got good hands the way he picks up that football.
I was just going to say that because so many times coaches stress fall on the ball. What was it Brandon Graham said? Scoop and score.
That's right. Oh, I think we're going to have a booth review.
Yeah, unless it was his own guy, but it looks like here we may get the booth review.
The previous play.
And we are indeed getting that. This is the look the officials will have upstairs.
And what you're looking for, you're trying to see if the ball was on it was coming out before he hit the ground.
And then the question also, was he touched by an eagle?
Yeah, he trips over his right foot, steps on his own offensive lineman's foot here.
He has to be touched right there. And you see on the slow-mo he is not touched.
Oh, that's Eagles ball, fellas.
Yeah, trips on his own guy. Not touched there, nor touched there.
It's fumble, guys.
Eagles touchdown, and David Akers will come on for the extra point. Assuming the review is the way we see it up here in the booth. But, boy, Kurt Coleman, as Hugh Douglas said so perfectly, he is a football player.
No, Tyler, not football player. Football.
Football player.
Football player. So it's a difference. The way you said, you got to put that emphasis on that football. Football.
He was almost a football player. Losing his trousers there as we saw that last replay.
All right, so wait a minute now. We have a vote here. Okay, Tolly, fumble or no fumble?
Oh, I'm saying it's a fumble. Because
you?
Fumble.
Fumble? Bill Warrendale, our spotter. You're not. Bill, how you voting? Bill, Bill's giving me signals. I have no idea what he's talking about here. I'm voting fumble. I'm voting fumble. So we got 3-0. Oh, we got 3-1. Bill Warrendale is saying no fumble.
As we wait on the review, Hugh, you played in this league, and I got to think that even though Kurt Coleman knows as we look at the replay again that he's going to make this squad, it's got to be so much fun. This game is going to be seen on the NFL Network. We're going to have an opportunity for people around the country to see our broadcast later. And all the guys who grew up with them, played with them at any level, are going to see one of their fellas do well.
Yeah, it's a great thing being and playing this game in the NFL, especially when you know that everybody in the neighborhood is watching you, knowing that you're going out there playing hard. And a guy like Kurt Coleman, I honestly believe that he has a chance to not only make this football team, but I think that he can also contribute on the defensive side of the ball because he brings a lot to the table. He is a very physical player. And if you're a physical player, especially
after reviewing the play, the runner was not touched down by contact. Therefore, it is a fumble. The play is confirmed. Touchdown.
Football player, Tyler.
Absolutely. And how about the prognostications up here from Charlie Casserly and Hugh Douglas that would not be overturned. Kurt Coleman, 5 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 touchdowns. And one of those players of the New York Jets not pleased as Connor coughed it up.
Well, I'll tell you what now. We got to give Artie Kempner a lot of credit in the truck. Now, he was right on top of that. A great replay. Pointed it out to us. So we got some coaching in the background. At least I did there. Great job, Artie Kempner.
David Akers up and good, extending the lead to 10 thanks to that guy, Kurt Coleman. We saw Stuart Bradley and some of the other veterans enjoying it as Andy Reid's football team getting some contributions from young players. And there, of course, John Connor, the player who coughed it up.
Yeah, speaking of Kurt Coleman, like I was saying, you're talking about a young guy who physically he's probably not the fastest corner out there. He's probably not the fastest safety. You know, hips may be a little stiff, but he's a football player. And I cannot put enough emphasis on that word because, you know, you might not be able to have all the physical attributes you need to be a great athlete, but if you're around the football and you're making plays, they have to figure out a way to put you on the football field.
Yeah, when Hugh's talking about football player, the way I would say that would be instincts. He finds where the football is. He gets to the right spot. He may not be the fastest guy. However, you can be a step ahead of everybody. And what happens in drafting, why do players like Kurt Coleman go in the 7th round? A lot of times safeties are hard to evaluate in college because they play so deep. They may have 5 plays the whole game that they're actually involved in. So safeties tend to slide the draft. And historically, you can find some good players at that position in late rounds. And this isn't, I know people can say, well, the ball bounced to him, but he's played well all preseason. He's been in the right spot, right time. He gets a good jump on the football. He's a good tackler.
And you talk about being in the right spot. There are guys that they're just naturally around the football and they're in the right spot. And you have some guys who don't have a clue about it. And this is one of those guys. He's a football player, guys. Football player.
And he got the obligatory but very well-deserved pat from Andy Reid, who's got to be pleased with that young man. And again, what a job the Eagles personnel people under the direction of general manager Howie Roseman did with this 13-player draft last spring. It's really paying dividends. Larry Taylor back to receive David Akers' kick, takes it at the 1. And once again, much improved kick coverage. We've seen it every time. Anthony Scarrato from West Deptford with a nice job there as we look at Kurt Coleman. And don't forget, coming up on September 12th, it is the home opener, the season opener, the Green Bay Packers right here at Lincoln Financial Field. And you might have noticed tonight, as you'll see, no logos on the field tonight, because in honoring the 1960 championship team on September 12th, they're going to have some very special artwork down on the field. Then at the Lions, at the Jags, and then Donovan McNabb and the Redskins coming here in early October. Mark Brunell wrapping up his first half, and he got wrapped up by Boo Robinson. Love it.
And these are the kind of plays that with the coaches look, when they look at this film, they're gonna look and see it, they're gonna look at the guys to see who kept hustling, because that basically was a coverage sack.
That's what I was going to say, Hugh. Really, Brunell had no place to go with the football on that. Everybody was covered downfield. What the Eagles did, they dropped in what we call a zone defense. You protect your area. Don't let anybody get deep. Brunell didn't have any place to go with the football.
Boo Robinson out of Wake Forest, a guy pretty far down the depth chart, but as we've been saying all night long, it's not just the Eagles coaches and personnel people who will look at this tape. Other squads may as well. And right now, I hope you're enjoying this game on 6 ABC. And no play is really complete without tasty cake to eat. Charlie's excited already. This season, make sure you stock up on all the freshly baked goodness the Tasty Cake has to offer, like rich butterscotch ice crimpets and cream peanut butter candy cakes. Nothing goes better with Eagles football than a Tasty Cake. One taste and you'll get it. Eagles defense getting it right there. As again, you like to see a lot of guys going to the ball, and Moses Fuku is one of them. Jurek Calvin also part of what's going on there, as these guys are just trying here late in the first half and in the second half to impress.
Yeah, and what you're seeing right now, you know, you got Boo out there. He gets the first sack. Now everybody wants to get a piece of that. You know, you guys are in a frenzy right now. It's a feeding frenzy. Everybody wants to show the coach that they can play football and they can get after the quarterback, because let's face it, guys, the defense that they're going to put on the field when the regular season starts is going to be a smaller, faster defense. And the more that you can do in the passing game, the better chance you have of making the football team.
Last year, as we know, the Eagles had another one of their great sack seasons, 44. And look at that all-time sack leader. Of course, the stat wasn't started until well into the history of the NFL. But once it started, the Eagles did well. Keenan Clayton coming up on that play, a guy we've been talking about at linebacker out of Oklahoma. Making the play on Danny Woodhead. And that's going to make the play that ends the first half. So the Philadelphia Eagles, thanks to Kurt Coleman, are up 17-7 for Andy Reid. A lot of young rookies impressing. Swoop and the Philadelphia Eagles with a 10-point lead. Lots of great young people here enjoying the game on a Thursday night in Philadelphia. We'll see much more football coming up in the second half when we rejoin you on the Eagles television network. 17-7 Birds. Saw a couple of things early on. Michael Vick on the great cut by Riley Cooper. Just nicely done there. And then we saw the turnover pickup by Kurt Coleman. Just a big hit and then a big play right there. Mike Kafka struggling a little bit in the first half, something he hadn't done so far in the preseason. But there were plenty of highlights after the Jets TD.
At the 1 yard line, the give goes inside and stumbling forward and fumbling the football. Picked up by the Eagles, and diving is Coleman. Second touchdown of the night by Kurt Coleman on the fumble.
Thanks, Merrill. Great call as always. And Kurt Coleman with the scoop and score. I think that's something Turkey Hill has to look into, the scoop and score promotion, and Kurt Coleman could be a part of it, Hugh.
Yeah, I mean, he shows great hands for a young guy, great awareness, knew the ball is. You know, it doesn't look that hard out there on the field, but that's hard to do. In a game like this, everybody's watching you, to actually pick the football up and be able to scoop it up and run with it. Tried it a few times, didn't work like that for me.
Charlie, I think
did you just kind of bobble it along? What did you do, Hugh?
We'll see what
it?
We'll see what it was, Charlie, because as a D lineman, that's your time in the sunshine. You get a time to shine. Everybody's yelling your name, the cheerleaders out there.
You were extending the sunshine, in other words.
Yeah, and I blew it.
I got you. Okay.
All right, Jets will get the ball first in the second half. It's Larry Taylor with the return from his own 5. Bobby April looking for better kick coverage. He got it in the first half, and there he gets it individually from that guy, Trevor Lindley.
Well, Jared Coleman, number 38, down there one-on-one to David make the tackle, and he misses the tackle. And of course, David Pender, got to point I'm making is Jared Coleman is a guy that they want to look hard at here in the second half. He had a good return in the first half, missed a tackle there. So again, this is a one-shot deal for him coming over this week in the trade from Arizona.
Again, if you're just joining us, 22 players have to be cut from NFL rosters by 6 p.m. on Saturday. Changing quarterback for the New York Jets is now Kellen Clemens. The veteran is in there. The Jets will keep the ball on the ground right off the bat here. Kellen Clemens is the 3rd stringer, so you have 2 veteran backups.
Well, Moses Foku made the tackle there. You know, in preseason, when he's had a chance to play, he's made some plays with pursuit, with hustle, range. So he's done a good job in what they've asked him to do in the backup linebacker position from the outside in preseason here.
Gives to Washington once again. Now, talking about Foku, here was a guy battling at the linebacker position, although he got some starts last year. Has he definitely made this squad, fellas?
Well, I think right now he's still one of those guys that you're trying to figure out what his greatest strengths is, because he's playing the linebacker position, and we saw him earlier lining up at defensive end. You're really trying to, with a guy like him, he has so much athletic ability, you're trying to see what best suits him and try to exploit it that way.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the club. I think he's played well enough in preseason that I think he's got himself a job.
Clemens back to pass. Got himself a first down for the New York Jets. Pass out to David Clowney. And of course, we have some interesting situations with the linebackers. Unlike a year ago when Stuart Bradley went down during flight night, now you know that you're going to have Stuart Bradley keying things in the middle. You go get Ernie Sims over from the Detroit Lions. Akeem Jordan has stepped up. And then you have probably Omar Gaither with his versatility and experience, but then battles elsewhere.
Yeah, what you're looking at right now, you have depth at the linebacker position. You have a bunch of guys outside of Stuart Bradley that are somewhat interchangeable.
Well, Jamar Chaney fighting for a spot there, the draft choice fighting for a spot. If they keep 7 linebackers, he'll probably be, in my opinion, the 7th guy.
Incomplete pass there by Kellen Clemens as he was looking down the field, going deep, looking for number 87, David Clowney. Guys, it's always interesting as we talk about these personnel battles and we look at the replays, how many you keep at different positions really can determine a guy's fate more than what he showed.
Well, that can happen to you, and again, special teams will make that decision a lot of times. Also, the health of your football team. I know you've agonized forever over the final 53. A week later, you might have a completely different position breakdown because of injuries.
2nd and 10 for the New York Jets. Going to keep the ball on the ground in the person of Danny Woodhead. Eric Mansour with the tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. And of course, Charlie, you were talking about it earlier. If you don't make the squad, you might make the practice squad. And then this is a busy weekend. After the cuts, people in the personnel area that you were in for so many years looking for guys who were cut that they might use.
Absolutely. You've had your scouts out covering all the teams in the NFL. Every NFL team gets every tape, so they can watch every player. We used to grade every player in training camp that wasn't a backup in the anticipation at some point we'd get a shot at them at waivers, we'd get them in the practice squad, or you have an emergency list that in case players get hurt during the season that you have to go to sign replacements.
And not only that, guys, you're talking about how do you want to set up your team. I remember last year, Andy Reid actually kept 10 offensive linemen and 10 defensive linemen. So it all depends on how you want to do your rotation and how heavy you want to go at a certain position. So it's really hard to say how this team is going to be made up once the 53-man roster is set.
Now we know who the starters are that Andy Reid wants on an offensive line. The big question there, of course, is going to be the health of Jamal Jackson, although it's been an optimistic couple of days with him in practice.
No, it has, and of course everyone's going to keep their fingers crossed. Is he going to be ready for the opening game? But you have to take a big picture to it. If he can't play in the opening game, you have 15 other games, so you're not going to take any chances the first week of the season about losing a player going past that. But I know people have been a little concerned about the Eagles' offensive line in preseason. I'm not. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to settle into it. It was great to see Todd Harriman's back on the field last week. We talked about it during the broadcast. They ran right over him, had great success there. Jamal Jackson's a good football player. If he's not ready for the opener, indications are he'll be ready for the second game.
Kellen Clemens back to pass. Looks underneath, and there's some good coverage by a couple of Eagles. The ball out there to Matthew Milligan, but one of the things that you like to see is the quick reaction, and again, you get it from Keenan Clayton.
Well, he was a defensive back in college, and he had experience of playing the ball in space and in front of him. And now when you're converting to a linebacker, the biggest problem he has is playing blocks close to the line of scrimmage, shedding, using his hands. That's something that I think if a guy's an athlete, he can avoid some. If he's aggressive, you can work with him on that and he can improve it. You can't teach athletic ability and speed. He has those two things.
3rd and 3 for the Jets as we look at that Eagles defense trying to bring some pressure. Clemens is going to get the first down, and again, not something you'd normally see in the preseason, but Santonio Holmes, because of his upcoming 4-game suspension, still in the game with the first down. And let's now check out a guy we've been talking about, very important to the offense, Jamie Apodi with Jamal Jackson.
We were just talking about how important the center position is. Jamal Jackson, first question, how is the knee feeling?
Oh, it feels great. You know, got a chance to get some live contact in this past week, and you know, they was really working me. And then the fact that it was 195,000 degrees outside didn't help, but you know, I made it through.
You traveled with the team actually to Kansas City to test out how the knee would take the flight. What are your chances, you think, of playing in the opener against Green Bay?
Very high. I'd say right now it's like a 99.9% chance.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
So, you know, just take it one day at a time. Hopefully no setbacks leading up to the 12th, and hopefully I'll be out there with my team.
Are you worried about rust at all? Because obviously you and Todd have been banged up, haven't played together.
A little bit, you know, that happens, but, you know, I just hope that in the time of the rust, my experience can kind of carry me over a little bit.
Jamal Jackson, 99.9%, guys. You heard that. Back to you.
And if that pans out, that is just great news, because the Eagles can really use Jamal Jackson to solidify the whole line.
I'll tell you, Hugh, interesting to get your opinion. I always felt that the, and we've got a penalty flag on this, is that as soon as the roster is thinned out and you got your
illegal
final...
hands to the face, 59 offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
I always thought, Hughes, once you got that final cut done and everybody comes into the building for day one of Green Bay week, there's a totally different attitude in that building. Well, as a player, what'd you think?
There's no question about that, because now those are the 53 guys you're going to war with. So now your workouts are a little different. You're working out a little bit harder. You know that normally Monday is a day off, Tuesday's a day off. Well, this Monday they'll have a work day. Tuesday's a day off. Wednesday, Thursday, go to work, get a little extra work in, getting ready for Green Bay.
2nd and long after the penalty for the New York Jets. Clemens avoids the pressure, and he's got running room. But I'm telling you, you like to see guys who are just going to stay with the play. In this case, Jamar Chaney. We've talked a lot about the young linebacker Keenan Clayton out of Oklahoma.
Holding. Offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty.
Jamar Chaney coming out of Mississippi State, another one of the draft picks, and another guy with some great speed and skills.
Well, good open field tackle here. Now, I'd have to admit, Kelly Clemens.
That's a takedown.
Big hole there. Now, I have to admit, Kelly Clemens probably is not the greatest open field runner, but Jamar Chaney did a good job of balancing up, kept his knees up under him, had his weight up in square, made the tackle. That's what you're supposed to do.
And you should never get stiff-armed by a quarterback. That's just a no-no as a defensive player. It should never happen.
Well, we didn't get embarrassed, so we got to give credit on that.
2nd and now 25 for the New York Jets as they're going backwards. Santonio Holmes, there's a guy, and again a turnover. Jets fall on it, but Santonio Holmes would not normally be in the game, and he really ran a great route there, fellas.
Well, he did, and that's Jarrett Calvin again, the rookie coming over from the Arizona Cardinals with the hit, forcing the fumble. So that's a good play on his part now. See, stripping the football. Jets end up with it, but he makes a positive play on the tackle.
Chauncey Washington with the recovery after a nice stick there, as you mentioned. A couple other Eagles just waiting to see if that ball pops up. It did not, and now they're going to measure for the first down, and a first down it is. So the New York Jets will be operating in the red zone. Getting back to Andy Reid's center, Jamal Jackson, so many people look back at the great disappointment of those Dallas losses at the end of last season, and they became kind of runaway trains, but missing Jamal really hurt the team.
You're talking about a huge loss. He was the guy that shored up that middle, and he kept everything going. You're talking about all the checks. You're talking about he was the guy who set all the protections for the quarterback. So when you lose a guy like that, and you stick a guy in there like Nick Cole, who really hasn't been used to playing a position, there's going to be a little bit of a drop-off.
Jamal hoping to start another opener. 5th straight he's had for the Eagles. Danny Woodhead on the inside run, breaks 1 tackle, breaks 2 tackles, and into the end zone. Anthony Scarrato couldn't bring him down, and the New York Jets have scored their touchdown. A 14-yard carry. Eagles defenders trying to figure out what happened, but just a really quick move, and when you break that 1 tackle, sometimes that's all it takes.
Well, the inside of the defense got separated. Jets just did a good job of getting a hat on a hat and clearing people out, and didn't get a lot of shed from the linebacker position.
Nick Folk with the extra point. Eagles lead now reduced midway through the second half here, 3rd quarter, as they still lead, though, against the New York Football Jets. Cheerleaders and Swoop will also be raffling off prizes. Visit PhiladelphiaEagles.com for time and locations. Almost an 8-minute drive there by the New York Jets as they've cut the Eagles lead down to 3. Back deep to receive the kickoff, Jared Calvin, again getting a lot of action in his first week with the Philadelphia Eagles, hoping there are more weeks to come.
Well, he did a nice job on a punt return earlier. So we'll see how he does here with the kickoff return. The first thing you want to do here is make a good decision, and he did. Took it out from the 1-yard line for the -1.
And a nice run, finding more running room, second effort. Well, I'm telling you, he's impressive as he takes it out close to the 34.
All right, see, the back foot is on the 1-yard line. He took it out, which was a good move.
And he took it out 34 yards. The Eagles will have it when we come back. At your local bar or tavern, triple hops brewed Miller Lite. Great taste, less filling. Find more details at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Miller Lite. We're looking there at Todd Herremans, who, along with Brent Selleck, mainstays of this football team. Herremans had a nice, healthy effort against Kansas City. Sprained the ankle a little bit Sunday in practice, but should be ready for the opener. Mike Kafka on the give to the second back through on the eye. And, you know, as we look at the guys blocking there, let's look at the situation on the offensive line. Of course, Mike McGlynn was filling in for Jamal Jackson. That would change there. But one of the things you have to have in this day and age, depth on the O-line.
And the Eagles really do, and they have guys that can play more than one position. You've got Andrews and Herremans. They can move out to tackle. You see that Jamal Jackson, I think he could be, Nick Cole. They're multiple position guys when depth comes into it. Not that Jamal Jackson ever would have to.
Jamal Jackson does so much in terms of making checks, adjusting what's going on, as we see J.J. Arrington with another carry.
Yeah, you got to give a lot of credit to Juan Castillo, because he's the type of guy that he likes it when his offensive linemen learn more than one position, because you just never know, guys. He likes those guys that are utility guys. If they have to play center, they can play center. They have to slide out there to tackle. I mean, hey, as I recall last year, I think Todd Herremans caught a few passes at tight end. So you have to be multifaceted in this offense.
Well, you saw that with Mike McGlynn. This guy, between college and the pros, he's played tackle, guard, and center. He tells you he's a smart guy.
Eagles continuing to keep the ball on the ground. J.J. Arrington, once again, he came over as a veteran running back from the Denver Broncos, then got banged up right away. Really, this is a last chance for him to see if he's going to be running behind Todd Herremans this season.
Now, what happens with this, with a guy like J.J. Arrington, if he doesn't make the club here, he'll be on people's emergency list. So you get to that middle of the season, when you start losing players, J.J. Arrington's a guy that, you know, people have seen him in camp. If you like what you've seen, you may sign him back. Eagles may sign him back if there's an injury.
Play action for Mike Kafka. Trying to get the ball out right away to Nate Lowry, a backup tight end, and that's a catch you have got to make, especially if you're trying to make a roster. The Eagles with a great tight end in Brent Selleck, an emerging young guy in Clay Harbor, but here's a guy, the ball's right in the hands and he doesn't hold on.
Yeah, with that play, you have to be a little bit more aggressive. You might even want to come back to the football in that situation because you know there's going to be a defender there, you know, draped over your shoulder.
J.J. Arrington is the single back behind Mike Kafka. 2nd and 10 for the Eagles. Arrington with a couple of tough yards inside there, but we showed you before what's going on with the running back situation. That tight end situation, very interesting over the last 2 years. Cornelius Ingram, a guy that the Eagles were really hopeful would do well, but here's a guy behind Brent Selleck, 2 knee operations, and then as we look at the guys here, Harbor's going to be the number 2, but Ingram had to have 9 ounces of fluid, I don't want to be too graphic, removed from his leg after he had a cyst behind the knee injury. He's just had injury trouble.
Well, you made a point during one of the earlier broadcasts. You can't make the game, can't make the team with what, Hugh?
No, I got
can't make the club in the tub.
Can't make the club in the tub. There you go.
And you know what? He has
I know I heard it someplace.
You got it, Charlie. And he has a tremendous athletic ability, and he showed a lot last year. As a matter of fact, he was pushing Brent Selleck in the training camp last year. But like you said, he had that knee surgery, and then he came back. He worked out. He got healthy. But now he's having trouble with that knee once again. And now you got Clay Harbor that's coming in. He's turning a few heads. If you can't stay healthy, it's going to be hard to make this football team.
And it's tough. I mean, you can draft players with the best intentions, and sometimes things don't just work out for you. Sometimes a player can just have some bad luck, an injury crops up again that he may have had before. You know, those are tough breaks. But the positive is Clay Harbor.
Anthony Scarrato from South Jersey down on the tackle. 38-yard punt, 5-yard return. Eagles still up by 3.
Quarter. It was really fun yesterday because the rookies that you see trying to win a job tonight actually took a tour of Philadelphia. Of course, they had to head to Tony Luke's for some cheesesteaks. Brandon Graham ordered American Wit. Then it was off to the Liberty Bell for a team picture. Then down the Parkway because they had to stop at the Art Museum where the guys, well, attempted to run the steps. They were a little tired from all those cheesesteaks. What you didn't see is that Graham actually crawled up that way, guys.
And he gave us a nice impression there of our beloved Rocky Balboa.
They needed the music.
Yeah,
you know, it's the music.
Yeah, the music.
The music
gets you going.
That's what gets you going.
Chauncey Washington on the carry, Jamar Chaney on the stop. You know, looking at all those rookies, Sean McDermott said, and it's an interesting point. He said it reminds me of the Fab Five when they were playing basketball in Michigan. When all sorts of guys coming together, there's an immediate bond. They look out for each other. And a lot of these rookies, only 6 rookies made the squad last year. I think there'll be a lot more this year.
No question. And these players have earned it. Just because a guy is drafted, it's not automatic a coach is going to put him on the team. They've got to earn it, and this Eagle draft has earned it. And the other thing I'm impressed about the Eagle draft is I think you divide it into a couple of different areas. The first 2 picks, Brandon Graham, Nate Allen. I think they're as good as any 2 first and second round draft picks that one single team had of all the teams in the NFL. I've personally seen 24 of the teams in my travels for CBS, and I think the Eagles did as good as anybody with their first 2 picks. And then you go into that what I call the prospect area in that 4th and 5th round, and it's hard to find guys in there. And when you look at what the Eagles have done in there, a guy like Clay Harbor in the 4th round, a guy like Riley Cooper in the 5th round, Jabbar Lindley in the 4th round. These guys, to me, are legitimate players.
Danny Woodhead with the run again, and the loss of helmet for the New York Jets is Tracy White battling for a linebacker spot on the tackle.
And not only that, you're talking about excuse me, you're talking about a bunch of young guys that are going to grow together. They're going to take their lumps together. They're going to come back, and they're going to be in this system another year, and they're going to get better. And you're talking about 4 or 5 years, 6 years of some pretty good football and some young guys that are going to get better each year.
Tracy White brought back by the Eagles. Another one of those free agents that Howie Roseman and his staff went out and found. And 4 fourth-round picks. All of them have contributed in the preseason this year. Nice job by the Eagles front office. And again, there's one of those plays where you just get the motor going. That was Pernell Egbo, just picked up out of Stanford as Ricky Sapp went on IR. And that's an aggressive play, and it produces a turnover. Watch it.
Well, he was released by the Houston Texans on the practice squad with the Texans at the end of last year. And again, he's trying to get a play on tape that can help him make this club, make a practice squad, maybe make another team's practice squad.
When we come back, the Philadelphia Eagles will have the football. They'll have it with a 3-point lead, 2 to go in the third. Home game, you could win. Look for Turkey Hill's Eagles Touchdown Sunday for your official game piece. For more details, call 800-MY-DAIRY or visit turkeyhill.com/Eagles. You know, in the accounting business, April 15th is a big time of the year on the calendar. If you're in personnel and you got to be the Turk who tells a guy they've been cut, Labor Day weekend, huh, Charlie?
Well, my first job in the NFL was as the Turk. And back when I broke into the NFL, we had 6 preseason games. We had an unlimited roster in training camp, so we had 120 players in camp. The roster was under 50.
Wow.
That's a lot of knocks on the door now, Tolly, I'm telling you. But you know what's interesting? People say, do you have any interesting stories? And really, most players, they know when they're going to get cut. They're in practice. There's so many people in line. They're not getting a lot of reps. Most players understand at what point they are not going to be on the football team and they are going to get cut. So there aren't a lot of colorful stories is what I'm telling you.
Second down after Mike Captain went deep for Dobson Collins. They keep the ball on the ground. J.J. Harrington. When you go to tell a player he's been cut, they always have the cliche, turn in your playbook. I mean, do you physically take them from them right then, or do they have to take them somewhere?
I can answer that question, Charlie.
Thanks.
Yes, you physically give up your playbook. I remember the Turk for me was Tom Heckert, and he called me, and you could tell that he was like, Hugh, and I said, hey, Tom, I knew this was coming. It's no biggie, you know, because you get to a point where you just know it's just not there anymore.
And it's Charlie's point then, I think, pretty well underscored you that most of the guys who get cut see it coming, know it's most likely going to happen.
Well, you know what, to be honest, there are stories of some young guys who they're playing their game and their mouth are in 2 different area codes. And they feel like they've got, you know, they say the numbers game. You get caught in a numbers game. So you have a few that feel like they were cut because of whatever the reason is. But the bottom line is, if you can't play, then you're probably not going to make a football team.
Well, let's get this straight now. Is it Pennsylvania and Jersey? Is it Pennsylvania and Delaware? How do we do this 2 area code thing here?
Well, you know,
you got to translate that for me.
Well, you know what, Charlie, it all depends, because you know how I know.
We're going to come back with more Eagles football for all your area codes right after this. Season at Lincoln Financial Field. Check PhiladelphiaEagles.com for ways you can win tickets. Bud Light is the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. When we go back down on the field as we look to our beloved late friend Reggie White right there. David Akers going to try to convert from 49 yards. He's had a lot of opportunities and been very successful in the preseason, but as we've said before during the preseason, no one does more great charitable work on any sports team in this town than David Akers. And of course, I jinxed him on the kick because he's wanting to talk about his on-the-field stuff most of the time. Rex Ryan sees his team keep the Eagles lead at 3 points, but obviously David Akers has been here a while. Only 3 guys, as we look at the replay, left from that Super Bowl team that went to Jacksonville. The others being Jamal Jackson and Quentin Michael. So much turnover, but no more turnover than this Eagles team has seen, as we see so many young guys on this team, so many guys who are going to be on that regular season roster, and all of them hoping they have the longevity that David Akers has had, named to the all-decade team for the 2000s. What a good guy. What a good kicker. All right, Jets take over at the spot of the kick, their own 39. They're going to keep it on the ground, keep the clock rolling here as we head down to the last minute of the third quarter.
You know, when you're a general manager and you're into this part of the fourth, almost into the fourth quarter here, you're still focusing on players in the game. The game doesn't end, even though most of the backups are in. You know, there's guys you want to see. Now we see, you know, we've got what we talked about here, Jerry Calvin. If I'm with the Eagles, I'm watching him on every play. This is a guy we got to find out. We didn't have him in training camp. Here they're running the bootleg right to his side. He had zone coverage, handled his man fine. He's a guy I'm especially focused.
Yeah, and not only that, Charlie, you're looking for guys at this point when there's not a lot of disparity between guys. You're looking for guys who are running to the football, who are doing that little extra they're trying to stand out. And you're going to look at that tape and you're going to say, hey, you know, the difference between this D tackle and this D tackle, this guy ran to the football. So you have to remember that you have to play it like it's a real game.
Why is Mark Brunell, as we end the third quarter, back in this football game? He's asking that question, especially after Tracy White dinged him. Eagles up by 3, 1 quarter to go. Our football team here in the fourth quarter at Lincoln Financial Field, and the Lurries and Joe Banner and this entire organization so proud of the history of this organization. Joe Banner talking to me last week in Kansas City about how excited he is to be honoring a great Philadelphia Eagles memory. And Brent Selleck showing us what we're talking about. Next weekend, when the Eagles kick off the 2010 regular season against the Packers, they'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the '60 championship, a rematch of those two teams. To honor the likes of Bednarik, McDonald, and Retzlaff, the Eagles will break out the Kelly Green uniforms. If you want to join in the celebration with your own throwback jersey, log on to PhiladelphiaEagles.com and order yours today.
I tell you, I think that's a class move by the Philadelphia Eagles to honor the football team from 1960. A lot of organizations don't do that. I know fans may not believe it. That's a class move. In fact, I remember watching the game, and it was a great game. And the two vivid memories that I have are, of course, the end of the game when Jim Taylor was held at the 8-yard line, held down by the Philadelphia Eagles. They would not let him give up. The clock ran out. Eagles clinched the victory. But also the vivid memory of Chuck Bednarik playing both ways in that game. And you'd watch on television and they'd show a shot where he's the only guy on the field. Only guy on the field.
Charlie, on that team, 8 Pro Bowlers. They passed the ball a lot. They scored a lot. And how about this, Hugh Douglas? The only team, our Philadelphia Eagles, the only team to beat Vince Lombardi in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy who said he would never lose a playoff game, and to lose to the Philadelphia Eagles like that, I mean, they made the great coach eat his words.
Of course, I'll tell you some great memories. Remember that season, you know, Tommy McDonald, great wide receiver. Norm Van Brocklin, of course, that was the last year he played in the NFL and to go out as a champion. It certainly was exciting for him and exciting for Eagle fans. And Franklin Field, what memories that Franklin Field can bring back for everybody.
Mark Brunell going deep to Santonio Holmes, and 2 veteran NFL players connect for the touchdown. And I don't know why Mark Brunell was reinserted in the game, but he's very excited with that touchdown as the Eagles just get burned by a guy who can burn an awful lot of people. 51 yards on the touchdown.
Well, Santonio Holmes is just faster than Jeff Pope, and that's what that comes down to there. Jeff Pope's got to understand that. He's got to give more ground in that situation, play for the deep ball. And I know what the Jets are doing. Santonio Holmes, as you pointed out earlier, Tal, he's not going to play for another month. So they're getting him as much work as they possibly can. But at some point, I think you need to sit him down, too, if you're the New York Jets.
Nick Folk extends the new Jets lead to 4 points at 21-17. When we come back, Jamie Apodi will be with one of the key Eagles. Andy Reid's team now going to try to bounce back in the fourth quarter. All right, the Jets have taken the lead at Lincoln Financial Field, 21-17, as Mike Kafka talking to Kevin Cobb. It's been a tough night for Mike Kafka. He did so many good things up at Lehigh. Had that nice touchdown drive at the end of the game last weekend in Kansas City to get the victory in the preseason. And now he's just trying to find out from a veteran quarterback, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, what you have here now, Eagles are down by 4 points. Kafka, almost the whole fourth quarter left. Mike Kafka, it's been a night to forget, okay, for the first 3 quarters. However, you have a quarter left, you're down by 4 points, you're 1 drive away from taking the lead. So what you want to do is be smart. And again, the Eagles are learning. This is a learning situation for the Eagles and Mike Kafka. How does he handle adversity? Because he's had some adversity tonight.
He's had plenty of adversity, and knowing the maturity that Marty and Andy talked about, you know he'll bounce back. All right, the Eagles are going to get the football back. We're just starting the fourth quarter. Oh, that is why these guys get paid a lot of money, because they could really, really get banged. Jarek Calvin banged after the return of 24 yards. Eagles taking over the ball.
Dean, joined by Trent Cole. Scary moment last game in Kansas City when you sprained your ankle, but how is it feeling now you return to practice this week?
My ankle's been feeling great. You know, I've been rehabbing, you know, just here and there, and just trying to get things done and stuff. You know, just getting that ankle right, get ready for Green Bay. And you know, I'm lucky to have it, you know, get a week off, you know, just to be able to recover from it. But I'm doing great now. I had my first day of practice. Basically, we'll say Wednesday, you know, and which we call it a Friday. But you know, I had a great day of practice, and just glad to be back.
You ready to go for the opener? You gonna play?
Oh, definitely. You know, I'm really hungry. You know, it's kind of hard to sit out here. You know, you're watching the game and you want to play, but you know, the hunger's there, and I like it. So.
You know, we talk about this final preseason game, and Hugh was talking all day that the veterans that are playing in this game kind of see the writing on the wall, like he did the game that he played when you took his job.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember coming in and seeing Hugh, and I was kind of surprised because I don't know if people know that Hugh played at a college that I used to live down the road from. I used to go there and be the water boy and ball boy during their camps. So you know, I used to see Hugh and stuff, and you know, he was great when he was at University of Cincinnati, and I mean, not Cincinnati, but Central State University. And when he came to the NFL, he was great as well. So you know, it was kind of great just to, you know, be able to come and to play along amongst him and play with him.
So how about that? The water boy took his job. Very good, Trent. And you guys are still friends.
Oh, we're still good. Yes, I think he's holding a grudge over it a little bit, but I don't know. Yeah, one day he'll get over it, though. You know.
Trent, thanks so much. Hugh, have anything to say?
Well, you know what? Honestly, the way that Trent Cole plays, it's obvious where he got, you know, who he emulated. So I mean, I feel pretty good about that. I mean, he patterns his game after a pretty darn good pass rush, if I say so myself. Charlie, what do you think about that?
Well, I'd say you better be nice to the water boy next time. Huh?
In any position, right?
Absolutely.
But Hugh was saying,
water boys.
Hugh was saying before when we were off air that you just knew how good Trent was going to be.
Yeah, and you know what? When he was in camp initially, he really didn't show a whole lot. But as he got comfortable in the system and as he picked the system up, you could see the athletic ability, and it really made me wonder, how did a guy like this drop so far in the draft? Because he can play. He was always wide open. And, you know, he's going to be one heck of a player. Well, he is a heck of a player.
Absolutely. 7.5 sacks behind you. But, geez, you look again at the late, great Reggie White, 124 sacks. But Trent Cole, 47 sacks, and a lot more this year because with Brandon Graham, as we look at that great photograph of our friend Reggie White, Brandon Graham is going to stop some of the double and triple teams that Trent had to face. He's that good as a rookie defensive end. All right, 2 nice plays in a row by Mike Kafka, although Nate Laurie has caught that one up. We saw the pass to Chad Hall. Nate Laurie with the catch there initially, but Mike Kafka, after a forgettable first part to his night, it's good to get a couple of completions.
Well, he did there. I mean, a nice read there, coming back to the inside, finding the open man, accurate on the ball, tough break there, the official signal, Jets football. But if you grade Mike Kafka, he just had a couple of good plays here, something to build upon.
There's the strip, which has really been one of the big changes. But, of course, I think it's kind of debatable as we look at it right there. Was he down? Andy thinking about it. He's got it poised. This could be one of the big tosses. And, no, he may be putting it back. We'll find out if he throws it. It may go back into the pocket. All right, Jets up by 4. We'll find out what happens with a potential challenge when we come back on ETN. Play by Brian Jackson of Oklahoma. And Charlie, one of the things that I think has really changed in the National Football League over the years you've been in it, the years I've been around, is that guys are now taught to strip, and sometimes it's very, very difficult for even a strong receiver to hold on to the football. And as we watch Andy making the decision, that was not his fastball, that was his knuckleball.
Wasn't too sure about that one.
I think that was a preseason, fourth quarter throw of the flag. I think in Green Bay, I think it's going to be a lot more demonstrative. In my opinion, I think the call will stand because I would call that a fumble there. Now, one of the things that was going on is when you're the home team, you control what goes on your scoreboard. Now, here's how I would interpret this here. Right now, does the elbow come down before the ball's out? To me, the ball is out there,
yes,
and the elbow is not on the ground. So I've got to call that a fumble if I was reviewing that. And the officials, quick work of it, they're hustling back on the field.
Yeah, I think you're correct with
they
that
didn't spend a lot of time on that one.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The runner was not down when he lost possession of the ball. It's a fumble, and it's recovered. Philadelphia is charged with a timeout.
The point I was making there is you have the whole control of the home scoreboard. And I know what we used to do is we would have communication between the coach's booth and the scoreboard operator, and if we wanted to replay that we think helped us, we made sure we got it seen. If there was one we didn't think it was help us, we made sure it did not get seen.
Yeah.
That's home field advantage with the scoreboard.
That is true. I've been a part of some of those. They just hurry up and run the next play.
Next play for the New York Jets will initiate at midfield. Kellen Clemens is back at the game. Mark Brunell had the big touchdown pass, and there's Juan Castillo working with the offensive line. He will work down to the last seconds. And Juan, very, very proud of his Spanish heritage. He's worked very hard in the Spanish-speaking outreach in the National Football League, an emerging American football market, and Juan doing his best to help a lot of other people at the NFL bring this game to more inner-city neighborhoods where there may be some Spanish-speaking kids, and we give him great credit for doing that. All right, second down play for Kellen Clemens, the third stringer for the New York Jets. Kellen Clemens going downfield as we see Pope, who got burned on the touchdown earlier on the defense, pass intended for Larry Taylor. But let's talk a little bit more as we watch the route run here about what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles at different positions. We have shown what some of the battles are, and Pope, obviously a guy unlikely to make this team. He is a guy out of Howard, a free agent, came over from the Cincinnati Bengals. But now all of a sudden you have in that defensive backfield the young guys that we've talked about a lot, Lindley, and tonight with 2 touchdowns, Kurt Coleman. There's going to be spots for them. Some of the other guys, not so likely.
No, it's true, but I like, when you think about Eagles at the safety position, you got 2 really good young safeties. Nate Allen, of course, is a rookie, and Quentin Michael, I mean, he's still relatively a young guy too. And you know, I think those are 2 guys that could be here for quite a few years to come. And be really solid at that position. And where Trevor Lindley fits in is you can't have enough corners. You can't have enough corners. And as he comes along, I think that's going to be a real positive, because I thought that was an area that the Eagles should try to address in the offseason, and they were able to do it in the middle rounds, which, you know, that's hard.
Of course, we have Asante Samuel, Ellis Hobbs are going to be your starters, and the Eagles just raving about the preseason that Ellis Hobbs has had. Chad Hall going back, makes the fair catch at his own 17. That's where the Eagles will start operating with 11:42 to go. But all of a sudden, I think now you see maybe the solidifying in the secondary after Brian Dawkins left last year. And Quentin Michael is the first to admit, Hugh, that when Stuart Bradley went down, he had to do more of the adjusting on the field, how to be more of a quarterback, and that always is going to take away from your focus on your own job.
Yeah, because it also takes a little bit away from your aggressiveness when you're so used to having a Brian Dawkins back there and a Stuart Bradley that take a lot of those calls, and they take a lot of that pressure off of you. Now that you're the guy that has to make the calls, you know, you have to get adjusted to that, and it takes a little bit away from your aggressiveness.
After this next play, we'll tell you a brief Stuart Bradley story, and we'll kind of quiz you too as Mike Captain goes out of bounds. Charlie Casserly, what did Stuart Bradley once do in 42 seconds? thus winning a competition in his house in Utah with his brothers?
I have no idea, so I don't get the bonus. I don't get to go in the bonus round, do I? I'm out of this one.
He was so competitive, and board games are one of his favorites. Bright guy Stuart Bradley, that he and his brothers had a shower competition. Who could take a literal shower in the quickest amount of time? He took a full shower with rinse in 42 seconds.
That doesn't sound like he got really clean, though, Tyler, to be totally honest. That just sounds like really kind of nasty, as a matter of fact.
I'm telling you, the amount of time that Hugh Douglas, see, when I said 42, I shouldn't have gone seconds. Hugh Douglas, Charlie, has been known to take 42 minutes. And one of the things we know he's not doing, he doesn't have the Troy Polamalu $1 million insurance policy hair issue, but he likes to primp a little bit.
Yeah, I like to be clean.
I got a question. How do you judge who wins the shower? I mean, it's got to be. I mean, how do you judge that? Now, let's think about that. Are you clean? Do you smell right? Is the hair shiny? We got to have a little. How do we judge that?
There was an honor system apparently among the Bradley boys, and any questions went to Mom and Bradley. As we see the Eagles offense trying to get untracked, they're going to have to punt. Ann Bradley's an interesting story, Stewart's mom, because last year he and Cornelius Ingram basically rehabbed together, became very close friends, and we've been saying it all night. You root for Cornelius Ingram, had a great career in Florida, but 2 operations on the same knee. When Stewart first was starting to rehab, his mom, Ann, came out from Utah, moved into his old city place. He had to stay on the first floor, and she would drive. She would drive Stewart and Cornelius to rehab. Very, very involved in her son's career, and very involved in trying to help him with Cornelius Ingram as they both did their rehab side by side, and both said it helped having the other guy there. 47 yards on the punt. Brandon Graham and the rest of the Eagles very, very excited about what's coming up, and that'll be the regular season opener. Are you an avid Eagles fan? Stay up to date with the Eagles by receiving text alerts directly from the team to your mobile device by texting Eagles to 82565. Rule the gridiron, rule the stadium, rule the air. Verizon Wireless, unrelenting advocate of your Philadelphia Eagles. Standard text messaging rates do apply. Kellen Clemens taking over for the New York Jets once again. He was replaced by Mark Brunell late in this game for one series to result in a touchdown. And they're going to keep it on the ground with Danny Woodhead. Well, now we know that the coaches have gotten a lot of looks. I'm just going to mention the guy based upon how many times we called his name tonight. But Moses Fuku was in on a lot of plays. They used him at defensive end, Hugh. They used him at linebacker. Maybe that versatility can help him make the squad.
Yeah, the more you can do, the better chance you have of making a football team. And he did show a lot of versatility. He made a lot of big plays at the linebacker position. He even put his hand in the dirt and get after the quarterback a little bit. I think that any time that you can go back into pass coverage and you can put your hand in the dirt and rush the passer, you have a good chance of making the squad, because they like to drop a lot of defensive ends in the coverage.
And here he comes. He's already had a team-high 9 tackles tonight. Missed connection there on the attempt to Matthew Mulligan. Boo Robinson with the play on the previous run. And Moses Fuku, 9 tackles speak for themselves. A guy who knows that he's under a lot of pressure to try to impress, and impress he has.
Well, I think when you break down the Eagle linebacker position, the 4th linebacker to me is Omar Gaither, because he gives you the versatility to play all the positions. And that's valuable for a coach to have somebody like that, whether it's game day or to go from week to week. But I think Moses Fuku, to me, has probably had the next best preseason of the backup linebackers.
Kellen Clemens is going to keep it. Kellen Clemens is going to get the first down and more. Kellen Clemens is going to get roughed up a little bit by Jurek Calvin there, but we saw Fuku as a stand-up defensive end rushing on that play, and he got hooked coming around, almost got to Clemens if he could have gotten loose of that, but there goes Clemens for the first down.
Well, in a sense, it's a good play, because he gets upfield, makes Clemens duck inside, which is really one of the defensive end's responsibility, to get pressure from the outside.
Yeah, but if he was a little bit heavy, if he had a little bit more, he had to put some rocks in his pocket before he could turn that corner and kind of, press into that tackle a little bit there, Charlie.
Well, we got to get some rocks here before we get to the next series.
Oh, Hugh, it's been a pleasure throughout the preseason because you have a unique way of bringing energy, humor, and unique descriptions. We love it. Then we saw Pernell Egbo there doing a nice job. And Pernell Egbo, a guy who just had been picked up by this squad as they had decided to put Ricky Sapp on IR. And now the preseason as we wind down into the last parts of the fourth quarter here. Any general thoughts on this Philadelphia Eagles youth movement here?
Well, that's the bottom line. It's a young team. They're going to take their lumps. I mean, you're looking at this team, and they're fairly young. They haven't had a lot of adversity. They're going to have times during the game where they're going to have lulls. They're going to have tremendous highs. They're going to have tremendous lows. But the good thing about that is they're going to grow together.
Well, I think, to me, coming into this, we thought offensively, a lot of young talent here, but a lot of good young talent that has experience. I think offensively, when Deshaun Jackson's in there, this team can score from any place on the field because Deshaun Jackson is an explosive player. I know people say, well, you double him. There are some guys that even if you double them, that they can still be very effective as a receiver, and that's Deshaun Jackson. I think Kevin Cobb, like we talked about, a lot of positives. There'll be some growing experience there. I think defensively, they really haven't been challenged in preseason. That's the thing that sticks out to me. So I think that opening game, they're certainly going to be challenged against Green Bay. But here's, I think, on the opening game, my final point on that would be this. I think Green Bay's got some problems defensively. And I think they've been masked by a lot of optimism up there. And I think Philadelphia, and obviously they'll have a game plan. They're going to come out really sharp in that game. I think they can score some points against Green Bay.
Of course, we're looking there at the first half of the regular season schedule that starts again with that big 50th celebration of the 60 championship when the Packers come here a week from this Sunday. All right, the Eagles are going to get the football back after Macho Harris showed a lot of speed, bringing a lot of pressure. Chad Hall coming up for the fair catch, makes the sure-handed grab at the 17-yard line. So Mike Kafka and the Eagles offense will have 7+ to work with. They're down by 4. Beautiful night weather-wise here at Lincoln Financial Field. Just a great fan experience seeing a lot of these youngsters at the 2 preseason games we've had here. Enjoying their football, talking some youth football looks like right there. Philadelphia Eagles very, very supportive of youth and high school football programs throughout the tri-state region. Mike Kafka taking over at his own 19-yard line. Nice, awesome route right there. Very nicely done, and you love to see that kind of a slant there, and you got to see what it was a great read of the blitz right there by Mike Kafka hooking up with Jordan Norwood.
Great pressure, and Mike Kafka did a good job of seeing the pressure. And here you can see the linebackers coming. Great job in there by Mike Kafka, making the read, getting the ball out quick, and Jordan Norwood probably might have been just on his route too. So good job hooking up there.
This time Kafka out of the shotgun, out at the 32. Going to keep the football on the ground. Once again, it is J.J. Arrington getting a lot of carries tonight.
And not only that, speaking on Mike Kafka, you're talking about a young guy who now he had that series where he did look so great. Now he's coming back. He's calmed down a little bit, and now he's connected. He's throwing the ball to Jordan Norwood for some positive yards. Nice handing it off. See, when you have young guys on your team and so many guys that haven't been in certain situations, you're going to have plays like that, inconsistent plays.
We're going to show you our Heineken Red Star play of the second half right after this play from scrimmage for Mike Kafka. Interesting call there. Fake the gift to Buckley, then the pass. It's time now for our Heineken Red Star play as promised. And a lot of turnovers tonight. Pernell Egbo just joining the Eagles this week out of Stanford University. Does a great job on the strip. And the Eagles recover three fumble recoveries tonight, 2 of them for Kurt Coleman touchdowns. Mike Kafka on a 3rd down situation here, coming up on the 5-minute mark of the 4th quarter. The New York Jets still bringing people, Charlie Castle.
I'll tell you one thing, Rex Ryan, he's going to blitz the first team. He's going to blitz the second team. He's going to blitz the third team.
You got to love him for that. You got to love him. I got to tell you guys, as an old football player, you got to love a coach that calls a blitz almost every play.
You know, there was a time when you were in late in games like this where teams didn't blitz in preseason because they knew the other team wouldn't be able to block it, and conversely, they wouldn't get blitzed either. But those days are long gone.
Yeah, but they only brought 8, Rec would say. We only sent 8. All right, Savrock has been busy tonight. Another punt. Eagles are going to let that thing roll inside the 20-yard line, and with 4:42 to go, that's where the New York Jets are going to take over. Anthony Scarrato from South Jersey and Penn State in on the coverage along with Tracy White. So now the guys will have a nerve-wracking day as they wait to see what's going to happen, and then on Saturday once again, it'll be 6 p.m. when they'll find out if they've made the team or not. Of course, Scarrato had a nice career at Penn State, was with the New York Giants, and just trying against the numbers to find a spot here, and if not here, somewhere else in the league, Charlie.
Well, it is, and you know, it's so hard for a player to make it in the National Football League. I mean, the odds are tremendously against you to begin with, but just the fact that you're signed to be with a club, that's an honor. And to go this far, you know, that's an honor. And whether these young men play ever again, they've got great memories.
New York Jets going to keep the ball on the ground right now. Chauncey Washington on the carry. Tracy White on the tackle. And boy, if you've liked ETN during the preseason, and we hope you have, we got great shows for you. A brand new lineup of shows catering to Eagles fans and bringing them closer to the team than ever before. What's more Philly than Tony Luke and Vince Papale hosting their own show? Tune in September 10th when the new season of shows begin on ETN, the Eagles Television Network. Kellen Clemens seeing a guy in Jeff Owens, one of the backups from the defensive line. And you know, we talked about Tony Luke having the show. This is good stuff. Tony Luke's Eagle Mania. Part of what fuels the Eagle Mania is that good beef, and it's all in the flip. Hey, Hugh, how hungry are you right now, man?
You know, I have to be honest. I had a nice roast beef sandwich in there earlier.
You didn't bring us any.
I'm good. Well, you know, I didn't really know what you guys wanted, and at that point, it was all about Hugh.
Shocking. A shocking development.
We've got to get some Tony Lukes in here, though. This is something we've got to do here.
That's right. I'm telling you, we are already in the position right now. I'm hoping that somebody at Tony Luke's is listening, and he will know where they are when they bring him in here. He'll hand them out. It'll be like a Three Stooges routine, Charlie. It'll be Hugh with the steaks. It'll go one for me, one for me, one more for me, one for you. He'll pull a Mo on us, man.
Well, you know, I got a big family. I got to feed all my friends.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're going to take them home?
Yeah.
You want them to go?
Just like you take those tasty cakes home there, Charlie.
That's true now.
I've seen your bag now. I've seen
That's
your bag.
true. That's right. It's a good thing there is no weight limit in the rental car.
All right, 1st and 10 for the New York Jets, up 4 late in the 4th quarter of the final preseason game. Let's get a nice little play there by Tracy White. We mentioned he's one of those guys the Eagles brought back. He has some experience, perhaps most importantly, special teams excellence. Speaking of special teams, the dependable one on the snaps, John Dorenbos, great amateur. Well, you know, no, I take that back. Professional magician. He's that good. He does shows that are unbelievable. Does a lot of great charitable work, but Charlie, so interesting, the evolution of the long snapper. Now just so key in this sport.
Oh, it is. I mean, it used to be when I broke into the league, your long snapper was a position player. But now it's rare that he's a position player. But it's a crucial thing because if you don't have one that's consistent, it gets noticed fast. If he's consistent, then it never gets noticed. We had a player one time. He lost it. He actually lost it in preseason. It had been a terrific snapper for us, and he couldn't hit anything. It just fell apart at one point for him.
John Dorenbos has been oh so dependable since coming to this football team. And now it is time for us to do something that we enjoy doing in each and every one of these preseason Eagles broadcasts, and that is giving you your Pepsi Max Player of the Game. And I'm telling you, here's Merrill Reese to tell us who it is.
Hand off to McKnight. Hit. Fumble the football. Picked up by the Eagles. Kurt Coleman down to the 10, 5, Touchdown! The give goes inside and stumbling forward and fumbling the football. Picked up by the Eagles and diving is Coleman. Second touchdown of the night.
Thank you, Merrill. And not a real tough decision, as this guy has clearly done a nice job for Andy Reid's team and really noticed more and more as training camp went on in Lehigh and now in the games. And
that's smart. You'll stand next to the coach. When the coach turns around, you're there. That's a good move. That's a good move. We said he was smart and had instincts. He's proven it.
When you're playing well, you want the coach to find you. In the reverse situation,
that's true, Tolly. That's true. So he would be about 40 yards away if he didn't have a great night tonight. But you have a good night, you can stay close.
2-minute warning coming up as we go to it. Jets 21, Philadelphia Eagles 17. Getting ready for the regular season. Well, they'll be here in full numbers for the Green Bay Packers. Interesting Game 1 matchup, and again a reminder that the Eagles will be honoring in a big way the 1960 football team. Last 2 minutes are going to begin with the Eagles getting the ball via the punt. Then Mike Kafka will take over and run some of Marty Morningwig's play calls. Chad Hall back deep for the Eagles, standing inside his own 20.
This is about the same situation that Mike Kafka had a week ago. No timeouts left. Going to have a long distance to go. And last week he brought the team back. So we'll see how he does in this situation. Expect the blitz. How about that, Tolly?
But he'll only bring 8.
Only bring 8. That's right.
It doesn't really count, man. Chad Hall is the young man we've documented throughout the preseason. When he was in the Air Force, he worked as a mechanic on F-16s. Want to thank our great manager of our production, Chris Johnson, the one and only Artie Kempner down in the truck, getting the job done as our director. Ed Fibishoff, nice job, Ed. Rob Schmall, making sure all our technical people are in place. Winfield Clark and the rest of our crew that's been with us throughout the preseason here at Lincoln Financial Field and last weekend out in Kansas City. And we appreciate all you guys do to make us look good, and we appreciate the confidence that Chris and Tim McDermott, and Joe Banner, and others in the Eagles organization showed, and myself and Hugh and Charlie. It's been a real pleasure to work with this class organization as Chad Hall watches it go out of bounds. And as Charlie mentioned, once again, Mike Kafka hoping for deja vu all over again after the Kansas City drive that won the game.
So now again, what he did last week is he didn't try to get it in one chunk. Try to move the change, get to the plus side of the 50, then take your shots there. And, you know, that's what you have to do here is you can't be greedy. Now, can he get some pass protection? That's going to be crucial for him here. And he also does not have Riley Cooper in the game, and Kelly Washington, both of them who made big plays in that drive for the touchdown a week ago.
Mike Kafka trying to do it again. And we certainly thought as we got Nate Laurie after the fumble earlier, thought we might have a false start flag there, but the officials are going to let this one move right along down through the last 2 minutes. Umpire moved back on the defensive side of the ball in the last 2 minutes, his traditional spot over the years in the National Football League. Mike Kafka airing it out, looking for Chad Hall. Dobson Collins was also in the vicinity. It's going to bring up another opportunity to go deep for Mike Kafka. Hugh, for the guys who have made the team, kind of a relaxing last weekend before you start playing the long 16-game, 17-week season. But for the guys who are waiting for the Turk and hoping he doesn't show, it's going to be a tough couple of days.
Well, like we talked about earlier, fellas, those guys know who they are. I mean, there's another old saying that hay is in the barn. If you didn't put the hay in the barn, there's a good chance that the Turk is going to come to visit you. I mean, you got to, it's right there on the film, fellas. If you didn't put it on film for the coaches to see, then, I mean, the reason you got cut is basically your fault.
J.J. Arrington brought down after a short pickup right there. Charlie, I know you and I have talked about this off air, but these guys have been playing football since they were youngsters. They've worked so hard to get here. It's tough because you like almost all of these guys and you got to cut so many of them.
No, from a management point of view, it's a business. You have to keep the best football players. Obviously, things such as injury history, reliability, all that comes into play. But I always used to say this. People say, who is your favorite player? Everybody was my favorite player. And they say, well, that's a stock answer. No, it isn't. Any player on your roster can help you win a game at that point. So that's why they're your favorite player. I have tremendous respect for players, the work ethic, the dedication, the toughness, the playing through pain. All of that is very admirable. And you know, we every now and then we hear about something happens wrong with a play. You know what? 99.9%, just like Jamal Jackson's chance of playing in that opener, are great players and great human beings.
And there's a first down on the 4th down. And Chad Hall taking this right down to the last seconds in his effort to make this football team. Nate Lowry had stretched out as best he could, but came up short. But Chad Hall there on the next play gets the first down. Going under 30 seconds here in the 4th quarter. Kafka back again. Throws a sideline route, incomplete. Trying to find Dobson Collins over on the sidelines. That'll bring up a 2nd down and, more importantly, 21 seconds to go.
Yeah, good play here. Instead of just going out of bounds, he's trying to make a play to get downfield because you got to get yardage at this point in time. You got to get yardage at this point. And really, he threw the ball in the only place you could do it, away from the defender.
Rex Ryan and his Jets trying to hold on to a 4-point advantage. Their opener will be coming up against the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, the Eagles taking on the Packers a week from Sunday. Kafka going deep for Chad Hall. Flag down on the play. Brian Jackson on the coverage. Mike Kafka giving it his all in these last seconds, just as he did in Kansas City.
Had a chance on that
Illegal
one.
contact, 44, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Probably was before that.
Yep, there we see the bump.
There we go.
And another good effort there.
Angle.
Chad Hall on the double coverage. 16 seconds to go, operating inside Jets territory. Intended over there for Jordan Norwood, the Penn Stater. Guys, it has been an awful lot of fun. Hugh, you're just a joy to be around. You're a fountain of knowledge and wisdom.
I don't know about all that, Tyler, but thank you very much for the kind words.
I'm trying to. Charlie, I've admired you from afar all these years as a guy who knows so much but doesn't act like he knows it, and it's just been a pleasure to hear your professional knowledge on the air these last couple of weeks.
Well, Charlie, thank you. It's been great working with you and Hugh. I've really enjoyed it. We've had a lot of fun here in preseason, and good luck to all of you during the course of the season.
Thank you. Mike Kafka trying to get a last play off, and he is not going to succeed. So the Philadelphia Eagles will end the preseason at 2-2. Andy Reid smiling, has to like a lot of things that he saw as he comes over to shake hands with his counterpart Rex Ryan. The New York Jets are victorious tonight, but now the cuts will be made, the roster will be solidified, and the Philadelphia Eagles will get ready for the New York Packers. Want you affiliates to stay tuned for local programming and the Action News Sports postgame show. It has been a pleasure to be a part of the Eagles television network. Again, my thanks to Tim McDermott, to Chris Johnson, to Joe Banner for having the confidence in us to be up here in the booth trying to bring you Eagles fans a lot of knowledge and a lot of fun. Once again, our final score, the Eagles 17, the Jets 21. For Jamie Apodi, Hugh Douglas, and Charlie Casserly, I'm Don Tollison. Don't forget all those great ETN shows starting in September.